you are the complete liar. I went ahead and went through his TikTok account, pulled up some of his videos because y'all, he is a oh yes, you heard me.
Oh, yo, are you for real right now? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, what? No. Are you, oh my God, be for real, dude. Let's get back to Who Did I Marry, part 37. For those of you who don't know what this is like a 80-part or 50-part TikTok created by this person who got into a relationship with someone very quickly and found out slowly but surely he was basically lying about everything. Now, on the one hand, this person was basically lying about everything, but on the other hand, he was also still paying her rent and even paying for groceries and whatnot. Okay. So it made no sense. Like there wasn't anything that this person was getting out of this relationship beyond like fueling his own narcissistic desires of manipulating a person, which is why I think this, combined with the fact this person is like a really, really good storyteller, made this incredibly captivating and super viral. Every single one of these clips on TikTok basically has 6 million plus views. Incredible. And it turns out he's done this before to other people as well. Some of the stuff that occurred in this process, like he claimed that he was going to buy a house. He never did. We'll do this TikTok recap that's 6 minutes long, just so you can develop a better understanding of the situation.
Summarizing all 50 parts of the Risa Tisa Who the F Did I Marry videos in one singular part, let's flow. Risa Tisa and her ex-husband, who she calls Legion, met in March 2020, right before COVID, on 2 different dating apps, which was the first red flag. One was his real name, one was a nickname. They hung out a ton, and when COVID hit, they decided to quarantine at her house, which she agreed was a little fast. Not long after, she gets pregnant, they decide they need to get married. During all of this, they decide they want to buy a house. He can't show proof of funds. Unfortunately, she miscarries the child, and he doesn't even go with her to the surgery and says he has an important meeting for work. Allegedly, at this time, he works as a VP for a condiment company and leaves the house at 6:15 a.m. every morning and comes home at 3:34 p.m. Eventually, they continue the house search and she wants to see his accounts. He shows her a Chase savings account and a Chase checking account where he has money in it, but says he also...
We're not watching spoilers. I'm going to pause it at the point that we get to that we're at currently. I'm using this as a recap.
...has money from playing arena football in a U.S. bank account and an offshore account. Next on the list of things that started giving her pause was a car. She wants this dark blue BMW with cognac interior. He doesn't end up getting it for her, but he does buy a BMW, which he says is his work car that he keeps at some random building that he says the condiment company owns. Some other sketchy stuff happens. They get married January 2021. 2 weeks later, flips his vibe. Starts acting weird, accusing her of cheating, makes this some story that her ex showed up in a Dodge Charger at their house, but she confirms it's a lie because they have a Ring camera. But he does little things to keep her around, like printing out an itinerary for a trip on her dream vacation to London with flights and all that jazz. They try to get another house, third time, with a different realtor, this girl named Amber, and basically they pause it because he can't show the proof of funds, and this woman, Amber, basically gives her like this aha moment where she's like, you can either buy the house with him or I got you if you want to do it by yourself. And she's like...
And also, even before Amber, the pastor and the pastor's wife, because they go to marriage counseling, when she catches him being indecent and like sexting other women, they go to marriage counseling, which I didn't even know pastors did. And the pastor and the pastor's wife look at the situation and go, damn, like even the pastor's wife is like, yo, this dude is a bum, okay? This dude is not good for you. Even in that circumstance, like pastor, for the most part, like marriage counseling in the church, instead of like a licensed professional, is going to be, don't do this. Wait, what? Why? Marriage counseling in a church is obviously done for one reason, and it is to maintain the marriage, right? I suspect, I don't have data for this, but I assume that that's the major difference, like between a pastor giving you the counseling versus a therapist giving you the counseling. A therapist will most likely tell you, yeah, this is a toxic relationship. A pastor will probably be a little bit more reluctant to do so. And yet, even in this situation, the pastor's wife was like, nope, not happening. And obviously, some of the jokes that we made is that the guy is 6'4", so obviously a lot of red flags were avoided, kind of, yes, but the pastor's wife was 6'6", it seems, and she was able to see through it, even though the victim in this circumstance was unable to until it was far too late.
Like, by myself is probably a better idea. Tons of other small things that happen but are important. They do marriage counseling with a pastor, but she also like catches him doing Facebook Messenger with other women that he of course talks himself out of, but he moves into the guest room. She decides to pursue a new job opportunity and needs to put his social security number on the application. The one he begrudgingly gives her is basically different than the one that's on their marriage license. She looks at both. One has no records. One is completely different than what he said he did, which was live in California and have an ex-wife there. Through all this, he gets his knee injury at work, never gets it checked out. It turns into this debilitating injury where he's basically bedridden, and he just brushes it off and says it's like an old football injury. One day he calls her and says the stepdaughter from his California marriage had passed away and they need to give $2,000 towards a funeral. Of course, she says yes, she's human. She does some more sleuthing and finds out basically that this California marriage actually happened in Georgia, and he basically lied about the whole story, and she was the one who divorced him, and he couldn't even pay for the divorce fees. Finds the ex's phone number, ends up calling her, and basically the ex is like, if you're calling me, I know it's bad. Don't believe the thing he says. Everything he is a lie. They have a good conversation. She keeps most of it to herself. Continuing her sleuthing, she finds his mom's obituary where she learns two more things. One, he has another ex-wife that he never talked about. And two, the two sisters he claims to have don't exist. In the midst of this, he changes jobs.
And a fake brother too. Turns out he has a twin and also another brother, and that's it. Even though, yeah, there's a twin reveal too, which was crazy.
He's just sitting there slugging Powerade every day. One day, she turns on his old work phone and finds texts and confirmations that he's been seeing a sex worker. Obviously, it doesn't even surprise her at this point. One thing leads to another, where June 2021, on his birthday, she confronts him in bed where he had been peeing in those Powerade bottles, which is disgusting. They have a huge blow up. They're on the phone with family members. She kicks him out. He leaves with 2 bags of clothes. Eventually, they're texting about the divorce. She goes to file.
So this is where we left it off. Basically, okay, this is where we left it off. She's at this point at part 37, trying to find him so she can serve him the divorce papers. So let's start in the beginning of part 37.
Part 37, who did I marry? So at this point in time, I have filed for divorce. I paid for the filing fee. I'm representing myself.
Locked in.
And it should be an uncontested divorce. During this time, Legion had driven to Philly, lied to his family, and said I had cheated on him. That he caught me, and that the guy I cheated on him with was a law enforcement officer who used his gun to threaten him to get out the house.
What is this, by the way? This is the full clip with the context if you end up responding to those clip chimps. No. Anyway, let's get to the service type shit.
None of that was true.
But like if you...
At some point while he was in Philly, he ran out of options in terms of where he could stay. Family members did not want him to stay with them. Apparently, a lot of bridges were burned, according to the female cousin I had talked to on the phone. So he left Philly and went to Augusta. Yes, what you were hearing is correct. He drove from Georgia to Philly, stayed in Philly for about 3-4 days, left Philly, drove back to Georgia, went to Augusta. Keep in mind, if you have lost your notes at this point, he was raised in Philly and did high school in Augusta before he went to California. So he has family in Augusta. So at this point, he's on his way to Augusta to stay with a new set of people. The reason why this is important is because what I have is a divorce settlement
Apparently, Dixerto posted it and deleted it.
Divorce settlement agreement has to be signed by the two of us, where we are basically telling the court, look, this is what he's keeping, this is what I'm keeping. I need his signature. Let me repeat that. I need his signature because I wanted a very quick and painless divorce, as much as it could be. So by this time, this is now around June 25th. So around June 25th, he's now in Augusta. He had left the house June 17th. So between June 17th and June 24th is the trip to Philly, then leaving Philly, coming to Augusta. My aunt and my little cousin get in the car with me, and I drive to Augusta with a rag on my head, some sweatpants, and a tank top because it's July, so it's hot. But we ride to Augusta. I had spoken to him. I had said, I just need you to sign this piece of paper. And he was like, I'll get to it when I get to it. No. We're going to get to it as quickly as possible. So that means I got to drive to Augusta, coming to Augusta. My aunt and my little cousin get in the car with me, and I drive to Augusta with a rag on my head, some sweatpants, and a tank top because it's July, so it's hot. But we ride to Augusta. I had spoken to him. I had said, I just need you to sign this piece of paper. And he was like, I'll get to it when I get to it. No. We're going to get to it as quickly as possible. So that means I got to drive to Augusta tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. I'm going to do that because I need that signature. I ain't telling this. This was my attitude. Sure enough, went ahead, drove down there. I met him at the UPS store in Augusta. It's in the same Kroger shopping center. They had a notary there because I needed the papers to be notarized. So he pulls up. It's only been a week since I last saw him. It has been months since my aunt saw him. Okay. She had no idea of the condition that he was in. Again, I'm telling y'all, when I met him, when he met my family, he was like a size 3X. In just a short span of time for a week, he easily could have been in an extra large, maybe even a large, but was wearing 3X clothes. So he has told me this whole time, he didn't know I had spoken to his family. Okay, probably need to put that in here. He did not know I had spoken to his cousin. So he was telling me that he had a place to stay. He was staying with some family members, and everything was cool. He told me he was going back to Augusta because he had a job. That's what he told me. The family member, the cousin, told me, oh no, it's not that he had a job. We kicked his ass out because he's still lying, and we don't want anything to do with him. So when I saw him get out of the car, I immediately knew, you probably have not washed in 3 days. I'm not overreacting. His nails had not been cut, so his nails were a bit long. He smelled like the Chattahoochee dump on a hot summer Georgia day. He stunk so bad. And for a moment, I did not recognize the man that I was legally married to. I did not recognize him. He almost looked, what's the word? Emaciated? If I may be mispronouncing it, but the way someone looks when they've lost so much weight and it's almost like your skin and bones. He looked homeless. He smelled homeless. And my heart just kind of broke. It kind of did. I'll be honest, it kind of broke. It did not break enough for me to not get that signature though. So when he walked into the UPS store, you clearly could see that some of the people were like, let me get away from him. Me, I just was like, okay, so I just need you to sign right here, and I just need you to sign right there. Okay, and then a woman named Lauren came over and notarized the papers, and then we were done because he signed the divorce agreement. He didn't even read it. The reason why I'm pointing that out is because he didn't read the part where what's left in the house now belongs to me, where he took technically what he was going to take. Everything else in that home belongs to me. Remember, I told y'all he had left all his Invicta watches. He had left all his WWE championship belts.
Not the Invicta watches. Oh, no.
A lot of his clothes, his Cole Haans. He had left all that stuff. He never even read the divorce agreement. So he signed it. I signed it. Lauren notarized it. We leave the store, and I said, have you eaten? And he was like, yeah, I ate. It's just, my knee. So again, he's talking about the knee, but if you saw him, you would know there's way more to it than the knee. So I said to him, look, since you met me here, let me give you some money so you can get you some chicken nuggets. Yeah, that's what I said. You can get you some chicken nuggets. So I believe I gave him like $5 or $6. Go get you some chicken. I think I Zelled it to him, actually. Just go get you some food. Then because where he parked was not far. It was like, okay, I'm parked here. He's parked in front of me in the other row. So there's that aisle that you can drive down. So I walked him to the car, and I saw the condition of the inside of the car. And that's when I knew he's been living in his car. He's been living in his car. So clearly, I no longer had a question of, so where's his offshore account? Where's the U.S. bank savings account? Where's the checking account? Didn't have that question anymore. Because if you had money, you wouldn't be living in your car. You would not be in the same clothes that you were in when you left my house on June 17th. And this is now June 25th. So he was like, I'm gonna be all right. I'm about to start a new job. I'm gonna be cool. I got a family member I can stay with. Everything's gonna be okay. All right. I said, I will let you know when the divorce is granted. I said, I will send you a copy of the divorce decree. And he was like, okay. He said, well, how long do you think that's gonna take? I said, I'm not sure. I thought I had to wait 30 days before I could file the divorce agreement settlement form, and then the judge would grant it in 30 days. So basically, this is like June 25th. I'm looking at the end of August that it would take for the divorce to be granted, assuming there were no hiccups, assuming he didn't decide he was going to pull a fast one. So I told him, I was like, I'm going to file this, and then once we get the divorce decree, I'll send you a copy. He said, okay. He got in his car. I got in my car. I drove all the way back home, and he went to wherever he went. Next part is the next series of lies that I was faced with. All right, part 38 of Who Did I Marry? I'm going to call this housekeeping and missing pieces. So housekeeping. First and foremost, as much as I know you all have enjoyed this series, and some of you have told me how entertaining you have found it.
Finally, we're back in the car. Let's go.
The story will be done this weekend. So in other words, I don't care how many parts I got to film. It will be done this weekend. We're not going to drag it into the new week.
It's not going to be done this weekend, I don't think.
So I just want to let everyone know that. So please be sure to tell your sisters, your mamas, your aunties, your cousins, your best friends, hey, y'all, go ahead and watch all the parts because she's saying she's wrapping it up this weekend. But I'll leave the playlist up, so don't worry. Also, let's see. I'm sorry for the people who are like, I keep talking really slow. I didn't know that I was, and they're like, you're just long-winded. I'm very detailed. So that's probably what you're feeling, is that I'm detailed, and I'm trying to get everything out, again, in a responsible manner. So you all have asked me if I will do a live. Yes, I will. I don't have any issue doing a live. I feel like if you're gonna put the story out there, you know you're gonna get questions. So if you stand on business and you stand on what you said, do the live. So yes, I will do a live, and I will let you all know when I'm gonna do a live. So it won't just be some random shit. I will actually do a live and let everyone know. So that way, if you have questions, bring them. The issue with doing a live is that I need moderators. So because I just anticipate a lot of people have questions and I'm just one person, and I don't want to be accused of she's ignoring my question, which means there's holes in her story. Y'all, we all know how TikTok is. So, but I will absolutely do a live. That's the housekeeping. Missing pieces. So when I said before that it's important to me that I'm responsible in how I tell the story, meaning I'm clear and I go in detail, I realized that I left out some missing parts, and it was brought to my attention by a number of you. Thank you, because I'm all for accountability. I did not go into how my ex-husband Legion left the condiment company and then went to Apple. I also did not go into detail on when my mom came to visit. Both of those were in the month of April. I was going to go into detail a little bit more on the Apple situation because, as you probably have figured out, of course something came out later on. But nevertheless, in terms of April of 2021, my mom came for a visit. She lived in Arkansas. She came to visit us. She came to visit us after we had that whole sexting on Facebook incident and just after we had started marital counseling. There were no fireworks during her visit. Nothing was weird. I did talk about how my family has always been there. And if you spoke with my mom, she would tell you she didn't see anything out of the ordinary. But there was something in her spirit that just didn't sit right. She didn't talk to me about it at the time. She did not raise her concerns. She simply, when she came to visit, we welcomed her with open arms. Legion was excited to meet her. She was excited to meet him. We took my mom out to eat. It was a typical, very quiet, non-active visit. I didn't know what my mother thought until later on. So she didn't share with me during the visit, something don't seem right. She and I sat in the guest room talking. I never told her anything that was going on. Number one, because again, it goes back to that mindset of what happens in my marriage needs to stay in my marriage. And I talk about how I didn't think looking back, it was not a good idea that I told my aunt what had happened. My aunt is not the type that's going to tell my mother. In other words, if you confide in her, she keeps it between you and her. So my mom never knew that there were any issues. And so there was nothing for her to be on mama bear mode. Had she known, this would have been a very different trip, but she didn't know. So she did come to visit. Everything went fine. He and I put on a united front. Oh, we're so happy. We're so, in love. And yes, behind the scenes was a whole different story. He talked to her about how he was looking to buy a house and how he told her how work was going, how his job, how his job was going, bragging as usual, which I had.
Thank you, Undying Machine, for the 10 community gifted subs, allowing 10 people to be also locked in and not have any interruptions at the top of the hour. Here's a 3-minute ad break now. I'm trying to find the longer clip that I just showed on stream, like this sequence, so I can post it on Twitter. Okay, I feel like this is more drama.
I did tell my mom, look, he's going to talk about himself and money a lot, so just change the subject. If he brings up a house, change the subject. That was my instructions to her, because I was like, I don't even want to get into the whole house situation. So other than that, uneventful. Now, once my mom left, this is still in April, everything was fine with him at the condiment company. As far as I knew, everything was fine. What ended up happening is he randomly came home one day and starts complaining about changes that are going on at the company. When he started complaining about those changes, it was things like, keep in mind, he is not VP of the company. He was VP of, I keep getting it wrong, but I think it was VP of production is what the memo says. So he was not the second in command for the company. He was upset that he was being blamed for production stats, that the production was down. He was upset that his plant manager apparently had resigned. He was upset that some of the policy changes that were coming into play that would affect his plant. These are the things that he was coming home and complaining about. Literally. He would complain. He started complaining Monday. By Friday, he said, if they continue doing this, then I just need to find another job. He was like, I think I'm gonna call my homeboy that I work with at Apple, and I'm gonna see, what they have available. Yes, there were red flags going up. Of course there were. At this point, we're not even dealing with United Nations of red flags. We are dealing with the Olympics. We are dealing with the parade of all nations. Everybody got a red flag. So when he said that, I was kind of like, okay, because I had become numb to all the antics that he did. I was numb to it. So he literally said, I think I'm gonna call my homeboy and I'm gonna see what's at Apple. My response to him was, well, what about your salary? Would you take a pay cut? He was like, no, I'm not gonna take a pay cut. Like, I wouldn't leave unless it's gonna be the same amount or more money. Y'all, the next week, last week of April, I'm at work, minding my own business. He calls me and tells me, I've decided to resign. You what? I've decided to resign. Don't worry. Don't get all crazy. I had talked to my homeboy. There is a position at Apple, and I'm on my way there now to go and meet him so that I can get some information on the position.
Resign from Big Mustard.
We're married. So what I said to him was, well, will you get all this in writing? His words to me were, of course I'm gonna get it in writing. I'm not stupid. You know what? I don't even want to talk to you no more. Click. That's the end of April. So that is how I was introduced to this Apple job. Again, if you stick with the series, you will find out exactly what happened. But that's how I was introduced to the Apple job. It literally was in a span of within 2 weeks. And he resigned from the condiment company and immediately said, I'm going to move over to Apple. Just wanted to clarify that. So,
oh my God, we're chat. I know we had some drama and shit. Wait, where are they? Are they here? Okay, never mind. They're coming in a second.
We will continue on. Part 39, who the fuck did I marry? Everything you're going to hear probably in this part and the next part, all of this happens in the month of July, 2021. Divorce has been filed. It was filed the end of June. I got his signature on the divorce settlement agreement. I thought that I had to wait 30 days before I could actually file that with the court. And so this is kind of in the limbo period because I'm still within those 30 days. So he left a book bag at the house, book bag that had all kind of paperwork in there. Inside the book bag, this is the paperwork that I found. Number one, I found a packet from the condiment company where it showed his 401k contributions. It also stated in there that he had been terminated. So he was terminated from the condiment company according to the paperwork in the packet that I saw in the book bag that he left at my house. Also in the book bag were paycheck stubs from a previous job where he worked at a cemetery. The same cemetery that he took me to show me where his grandmother and grandfather were buried. So let's go ahead. I'll do this video and say, this is what he told me. This is what I confirmed. He told me his grandmother and grandfather were buried there. He showed me a headstone with a family name on it. If you go back in previous parts, I talk about it. The truth is they are not buried there. He is of no relation to the people who are buried at that particular gravesite. Only reason why he knew about it is because he had worked there. Also in the book bag, it was a copy of a driver's license that he had. The address on the driver's license, now this I still don't have an answer to, but the address...
I called it. I mean, I knew the gravestone was going to be fake. It was obvious, but I mean, it's just like a wild thing to lie about. So many of the things he lied about are just so irrelevant. It genuinely makes me it genuinely breaks my brain. It doesn't make any sense to lie about these things at all. Part 39 of Who Did I Marry starts now.
On the driver's license about that.
Let me start over in the beginning.
I have to happen. But that's how I was introduced to the Apple job. It literally was in a span of within 2 weeks. And he resigned from the condiment company and immediately said, I'm going to move over to Apple. Just wanted to clarify that. So we will continue on. Part 39, who did I marry? Everything you're going to hear probably in this part and the next part, all of this happens.
Oh, I didn't recap that she kicked him out. Yeah, that's right. She actually ends up calls the ex-wife. The ex-wife immediately tells her oh, if you're calling me, things are too bad. She then goes through a Sherlock Holmes detective moment where she literally figures out what his actual real social security number is. She's giving him fake social security. He's given her fake social security numbers time and time again. And then at this point, she has kicked him out of the house. And of course, he was cheating on her the entire time with a sex worker by the name of Peaches.
In the month of July, 2021. Divorce has been filed. It was filed the end of June. I got his signature on the divorce settlement agreement. I thought that I had to wait 30 days before I could actually file that with the court. And so this is kind of in the limbo period because I'm still within those 30 days. So he left a book bag at the house, book bag that had all kind of paperwork in there.
I have to pee.
Inside the book bag, this is the paperwork that I found. Number one, I found a packet from the condiment company where it showed his 401k contributions. It also stated in there that he had been terminated. So he was terminated from the condiment company according to the paperwork in the packet that I saw in the book bag that he left at my house. Also in the book bag were paycheck stubs from a previous job where he worked at a cemetery. The same cemetery that he took me to show me where his grandmother and grandfather were buried. So let's go ahead. I'll do this video and say, this is what he told me. This is what I confirmed. He told me his grandmother and grandfather were buried there. He showed me a headstone with a family name on it. If you go back in previous parts, I talk about it. The truth is they are not buried there. He is of no relation to the people who are buried at that particular gravesite. Only reason why he knew about it is because he had worked there. Also in the book bag, it was a copy of a driver's license that he had. The address on the driver's license, now this I still don't have an answer to, but the address on the driver's license was the same address as the cemetery because I looked it up on Google. Also in the book, a copy of a driver's license that he had. The address on the driver's license, now this I still don't have an answer to, but the address on the driver's license was the same address as the cemetery, because I looked it up on Google. Also in the book bag was paperwork from another construction company job, meaning it was paycheck stubs from another construction company here in Atlanta that he had worked for. It did not have dates on it, so I don't know when he worked for the construction company. Also in the book bag, paperwork.
It's crazy they actually worked at the graveyard, the cemetery that she lied about, and literally he lied about, sorry. He, like, Legion is a survivor, rewind. Wait, what? What did I miss?
This is the paperwork that I found. Number one, I found a packet from the condiment company where it showed his 401k contributions. It also stated in there that he had been terminated. So he was terminated from the condiment company according to the paperwork in the packet that I saw in the book bag that he left at my house. Also in the book bag were paycheck stubs from a previous job where he worked at a cemetery. The same cemetery that he took me to show me where his grandmother and grandfather were buried. So let's go ahead. I'll do this video and say, this is what he told me. This is what I confirmed. He told me his grandmother and grandfather were buried there. He showed me a headstone with a family name on it. If you go back in previous parts,
yes,
I talk about it. The truth is they are not buried there. He is of no relation to the people who are buried at that particular gravesite. Only reason why he knew about it is because he had worked there. Also in the book bag, it was a copy of a driver's license that he had. The address on the driver's license, now this I still don't have an answer to, but the address on the driver's license was the same address as the cemetery, because I looked it up on Google. Also in the book bag was paperwork from another construction company job, meaning it was paycheck stubs from another construction company here in Atlanta that he had worked for. It did not have dates on it, so I don't know when he worked for the construction company. Also in the book bag, paperwork was unemployment paperwork. So it looked like he had been receiving unemployment just before I met him. I met him in March. It looked like he had been receiving unemployment January and February. So once again, let's confirm. He did not work for the condiment company for 6 to 7 years. Also in there were scraps of paper from a temp agency.
This is where we find out that Legion never existed at all. No one by the name of Legion is showing up on our records for 35 years.
Where it was information on the job that he had been placed at. Where was that job? The condiment company. He would be a forklift / loader is what it said. So I interpret that to mean he can drive a forklift, but he would have been loading up the 18-wheelers for them to go out to their deliveries.
Forklift
also certified? In this book bag.
Ah, that's it. 6'4", forklift certified. Things are starting to make a lot more sense, okay? Listen, nothing, and I mean nothing gets ladies going like a man who's 6'4" and forklift certified, baby.
Bag was paperwork from Clayton County courts, I believe, for a weekend. What is it called? Weekender jail. It was like a weekender jail receipt. So I had to do some research. So apparently what that means is that there is an option where if you have a job, let's say you were sentenced to 60 days in jail, but you have a full-time job. Apparently the court can say, okay, you'll go to jail on the weekends. So in other words, you have to report to the jail on Friday at 5 o'clock and you'll be there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You will get out Sunday at 6 o'clock. Apparently that's actually a real thing. So what was in the book bag were multiple yellow receipts for different weekends that he had to report and get out of jail. Last but not least, there were some additional pictures, and then there were some, and when I say pictures, I'm talking about family photos. And then there was another additional copy of his driver's license with the Douglasville address. I looked up that address. The name associated with that address was the same name as the ex-girlfriend that he had in between the ex-wife and me. If you go back to the video where I talk about the conversation I had with the ex-wife, she tells me that the address was going to come back to the ex-girlfriend. I'm simply saying that is correct. So what she told me is true. So because of everything that I found, I decided to go down a new rabbit hole. Again, just recapping what I said in previous videos. Ex-husband was always a stickler about law enforcement. His dad was a retired police officer. I'm just telling y'all the story. His dad was a retired police officer. Mom was a retired teacher. After his dad retired, they moved to Augusta, started a church. He took me to that church in Augusta, the same day that he took me to meet his aunt who lived in Augusta. So these are now things that he actually took me to, just like he took me to the cemetery. So that's what I found in the book bag. The weekender jail receipts. I went ahead and went online to find out exactly why did he have to go to jail for the weekend.
Uh-oh.
And I'm going to end this part here. The next part has to do with his criminal history. Part 40, who did I marry? So we are now at the point of July 2021. We're at the point where I've spoken to the female cousin, and she gave me the phone number for the older brother. For the purposes of this video, we're going to call him Chris. Chris was very nice. I called him. He was gracious. He was willing to answer whatever questions I had. And what he said to me was, he said, my brother has always been a liar. He's always been a liar. He said, but ask me what questions you have, and I'll confirm what's real and what's not. First question I had was, when was the last time you spoke to him? Without missing a beat, Chris says, 2015, just after our mother's funeral. I explained to him about the phone calls, the fact that Legion would be on the phone for 35 minutes, laughing, talking to Chris, relaying messages from Chris to me, and relaying messages from me to Chris. Without missing a beat, Chris says he was never talking to me.
Who?
And I said,
who was this man talking to?
Maybe he was on the phone, but he was not on the phone with me. He said, because he knows that if I ever see him, I'm gonna whoop his ass. And I'm laughing because obviously Legion loves to say I'm gonna whoop somebody's ass. So for the people who are confused, like, wait, what does this mean about the phone calls? What this means is every single time that my ex-husband was on the phone, holding his phone like this, talking, laughing, cracking jokes. Hey, my wife said that, you know, we can go later on this evening and all this other stuff. Every time they were doing things like that, every time he was having a phone call or conversation that he claims to be with Chris, no one is on the phone. No one's on the phone. That is what that means.
No, he had to have been talking to someone. Like, this is the part I don't understand, because like there has to be like some voice, like you can hear like the like on the other side, you know what I mean? Even if you're standing near them, because like how for this long you're living with this man. She's not the person responsible here. Obviously, she's a victim. Just, I want to make sure that you guys understand that. But how does she not see like him making a call, for example? Did he not have like fake phone numbers? There's no way that he had like, maybe he pre-recorded, maybe he put on a YouTube video or something. I just don't really understand. This is the part you don't understand. I mean, there's so much I don't understand, but especially this part is like pretty easy to catch up on. They have apps that fake calls, but even then, like you don't have any context. Like if you live with someone, even if you're not looking to look at look at their phone or anything like that, you're gonna see it, right? Like you're gonna see their phones. Like think about it. Your brother, your sister, your mom, you're sitting in the room with them, like even on accident, like you'll see them like type something on their phone. It's not even like a malicious way. He probably made fake contacts. What are you talking about? No, I know. And then there's the second part of this though, because you will also hear like some feedback.
So I'm on the phone with Chris. My mind is spinning. It is blowing up like a volcano. I mean, I'm going crazy. I'm going crazy because what this means is that for the past 4 or 5 months, every morning that he's having a phone call with his brother Chris, I am now understanding in real time that phone call was completely fake. So Chris tells me maybe he was talking to somebody else, but it wasn't me. He said the only family member that Legion actually talks to is the twin. And that's only because for some reason, I guess it's their twins, he helps him out when he needs it. Legion only calls the twin when he needs money. And the twin, according to Chris, now this is the part that might blow some minds. The twin brother, the one that is older by 20 minutes, is VP of his company, is married, drives a luxury car, and lives in like a 4 or 5 bedroom house in Nashville. So Chris is saying to me, he was like, it sounds like he took the identity of the twin and was trying to act like that's his life. And it's not. He's like, that nigga ain't never had no money, ain't never kept a job a long period of time. And he was like, and you're telling me that he claims he's VP of the company?
This is actually the prestige. Yo, this is crazy, dog. That's crazy. I mean, I guess it makes more sense that way. That way he can like pretend.
And so he was like, did you ever see anything? Did you ever meet people? Like Chris, I respect the fact that he was asking me the same questions y'all are asking me. Did you ever meet any family members? And I told him. I said, I met your aunt. Well, what aunt is that? I told him her name. He said, that ain't our damn aunt. I don't know if y'all have ever dealt with people from Philly. So he was just loud. He was like, that ain't our aunt. He said, that is our mother's best friend. And I don't trust that hoe. I'm sorry. It's the way he said it that it makes me laugh. Anyway, he's like, I don't trust her. I don't trust her at all. She is not our aunt. She was our mother's best friend when our mother was living in Augusta. She's not our aunt. So then I explained to him about the other brothers. The brothers, remember, there were 2 half brothers from his dad. One lived in Baltimore, one lived in Augusta. Chris is on the phone saying, I don't know who them niggas are. They ain't related to us. He said, our dad never had other kids. He was like, so you mean to tell me this nigga going around telling people that our dad had kids on our mom? And I said to him, well, the way he actually put it is that the 2 brothers came before y'all. He was like, hell no. No. So And then I explained to him about the sisters. He was like, who the hell is Shantae? And I was like, Shantae, again, I'm just telling you what I was told. Shantae is a sister that lives in Douglasville, married with 2 kids. He was like, no, we don't have a sister.
Come on. The question we all have at this point is, did the twin go to SDSU and play arena football? If this does not get cleared up, I'm going to have to literally figure out who these people are and contact them personally. I have to know. Did the twin play arena football or not? It has to. I can't be the only one who cares about this. Like, I can't be the only person who's like genuinely trying to find this out. It would be such a specific lie if not. I mean, yeah, where the would you get arena football from anyway? Did the twin invest the $12K? At this point, are the Invicta watches real? No. Listen. As we established earlier on the stream, you absolutely can buy Invicta watches with a forklift certified construction salary. Okay, we know that that's real because the watches are, I said pauper watches. I feel like getting a fake Invicta watch is like getting a fake Hanes brand t-shirt. It costs almost the same, dog. It costs almost the same to buy the fake one or the real one.
Told him about Kim. He was like, Kim's not our sister, she's a cousin. And he said to me, and I know she ain't talked to him in forever in 2 days. He said, so the only people who are his family members is Chris and the twin. He's like, we got some cousins up here. I told him about Junebug. I told him about the uncle. I told him about the grandmother. And he's just sitting back like, oh my God. He was like, I realize that every relationship my brother gets in, he gets worse. And it sounds like he is actually worse than what he was in the last relationship. And I thought he was talking about the ex-wife that I had spoken to. No, he had no idea there was another wife. Because again, he hasn't spoken to him since 2015. So he was like, the best thing I can say to you is this. He said, thank God you ain't have kids with him. He said, get your divorce and forget you ever met this man. And he was like, and I know how that sounds because he's my brother. He said, but if I didn't have to claim him, I wouldn't. And I said to him something that I should have probably said in this whole TikTok series. This is not someone that you forget. This is not a situation that, man, I don't even remember him. No. What I don't remember is the version of myself before I met him, because nothing so far has turned out to be true. The only thing that Chris was able to tell me is true is that, number one, yes, there is a brother in Philly, him. Yes, there is a brother in Nashville, the twin. Yes, both parents are deceased. That is what I was told from the beginning. Those pieces of information are true. The grandmother did die in 2008. He was like, no, she didn't. She definitely didn't die in 2020. I told him how I found the obituary. And so he was like, and the uncle, he said, which uncle is he talking about? Because if you guys remember, back in one of the parts, I talk about where he said his uncle was giving him advice on why he should not open up his savings account to let me see it. He would not let me see it. And so I'm telling Chris about the uncle, and he was like, that uncle been dead for years. I told him about Junebug. He said, Junebug been dead for years. And I said, Chris, he was having conversations with Junebug on the phone in front of me. He was like, it wasn't Junebug. He said, it sounds like my brother was making up the conversations. He said he definitely was making up the conversations with me. He said, hell no, I ain't gonna be on the phone at 6 o'clock in the morning. So the conversation with Chris solidified that this is the actual family tree. And no, there were never any conversations with his brother every morning when I was getting ready to go to work. They had never talked. On to the next part. Part 41, who the fuck did I marry? So this is a continuation of my conversation.
I think mental illness plays a role here. This is not like defending Legion in any way, obviously. But I don't think you can lie this much unless you have like severe mental illness. Like this convincingly and this good, like you have to, at a certain point, you have to like, I guess, believe it. Like obviously he has narcissistic personality disorder, right? Not to do the backseat therapy shit, but like beyond that, there's some additional illnesses running around.
With Chris, which will then lead into some other stuff. So Chris has confirmed that he has not spoken to Legion since 2015. So now we know that the phone calls that Legion was having every morning on the phone with Chris when we were, getting ready to go to work, the phone calls were fake. I demonstrated in the last video how I think how he was doing those phone calls, because he would relay messages from me to whoever was on the phone. So Chris and I also then talked about their parents. So if you remember in the beginning, I told you from the get-go, this man was, very respectful of law enforcement because his dad was a retired Philadelphia police officer. The mom was a retired teacher. And so he had the utmost respect for law enforcement. That's what he used to always say. Because, again, there's a lot that he lied about. So I'm trying to only highlight the big things because truthfully, it got to a point where when he would say that as a VP in his company, he had a meeting with the local sheriff. Child, we know that's a lie, so I don't even need to go into detail about that because, again, why? So I told Chris what Legion said about their dad being a retired police officer, and I was explaining how he said the mom was a retired teacher. So Chris listened, again, very gracious, very nice guy. He listened, and he was like, so are you ready for me to tell you what's true and what's not? And at this point, I was already convinced I was going to be drinking heavily that night after this phone call, so I was like, go ahead. All right, so here's what Legion said. Legion said, my dad was a retired police officer with Philadelphia PD. When he retired, he and my mom moved to Augusta. I was there for high school, and they started a church. He took me to that church in Augusta and showed me where the church that they started. The truth. Dad, according to Chris, their dad was nowhere near the church. That man ain't go to church on Easter. He ain't go to church on Christmas. He was like, my dad he ain't stepped foot in the church since the day he got married. That was the last time he went to church. He didn't have nothing to do with church. He said that their father was the furthest thing from a pastor. And he was like, I love my dad, but that man drank, smoked, and he was not a pastor. The mom was not a retired teacher. She did substitute teach at one point, but she was not a retired teacher. The dad was a truck driver. And not only was the dad a truck driver, at one point, he was a correctional officer. And so I said to Chris, I was like, yeah, I said I had no idea, of course. I had no idea. So now we know the truth. The dad was never in law enforcement. And I'm not knocking correction officers. I want to make very clear because I know that sometimes people that work in law enforcement feel like, look, when I'm out there patrolling, that is not the same as being a correction officer. And
Put the hands on the wheel, please. What are you doing? I can't be the only one who's a little bit worried about that. Please put your hands on the wheel, ma'am.
Officers may feel the same, so I just want to give the distinction between the two. So the dad at one point was a correction officer. However, his primary career was a truck driver. And so the dad would do long hauls. So Chris is explaining, no, he was like, now that's funny. He said, if you knew our dad, you would understand how funny that is to even insinuate that he was a pastor. And so I told him about the church that we went to. He was like, oh, okay. So he took you to a church in Augusta and told you that was our parents' church. He was like, now our mom used to go to church, every now and then. But he said, our dad ain't been to church since the day he married mom. So the church that Legion took me to and said that his parents started that church, that was not true. So he just took me on a field trip for nothing, basically. So
that's these are the parts that are like the craziest because it makes no sense to do this. You did not have to under any circumstance like take her to the graveyard to be like, these are my grandparents. Like, he's setting up additional lies specifically for no other reason than to then continue lying to her. It makes no sense. It's world building, but like, why? Like, you can do it without doing all that, right?
I told him about the weekend because I did tell Chris where I worked. And that is when Chris said to me, because at the time I worked in a law enforcement agency. And he said to me, now, how does that work? He said, because Legion, he done been in trouble a few times. And I was like, what do you mean? Because I had not yet gone online into the court system to see what type of trouble he's been in. And so he explained to me, he was like, just run his criminal history and you'll see it for yourself. He said, because I don't know all the charges, but run his criminal history. I said, okay. He gave me some homework. I'll run his criminal history. So again, he cleared up a lot of stuff in regards to the family dynamics. He did explain to me that, yes, he does have a daughter. He and his ex-wife are divorced. And I said, well, Legion would talk about the niece, meaning Chris's daughter, and would send her stuff for her birthday. And he was like, he said, I'm almost positive my brother never sent anything for my daughter's birthday. And I explained to him, I said, isn't your daughter's name Egypt? He said, no. Who the hell is Egypt? And I said, I was told that was your daughter's name. That's the reason why I'm saying the name on here, because obviously we're about to confirm that's not the daughter. So I said, I was told that's your daughter's name. I said, I went with him to Rack Room Shoes and bought shoes for what I was told was your daughter. And she lived in St. Louis with your ex-wife. He said, no. He said, my daughter and my ex-wife do not live in St. Louis. He said, I don't know who Egypt is. He was like, are you sure it wasn't for a woman? And I said, well, it was kids' shoes. And he was like, no. He said, and I told him, I said, I went to the UPS store, I mailed it, and they printed the label with the girl's name on it, and I'm thinking this whole time it's Legion's niece. Chris is like, I don't know who that is. That's not even the name of one of our cousins. So I have no idea, ladies and gentlemen, who my ex-husband was buying girl shoes for and had me sending them telling me it's for his niece.
Oh.
I have no idea. So Chris is like, yeah, he finally said to me the same thing the ex-wife said, which is pretty much whatever he told you is a lie. And I'm being honest with you guys. It is very hard to comprehend that everything is a lie. Like, there has to be something that's true. I'm like, how is he paying? If he wasn't working at the condiment company, or he got fired from the condiment company, how is he still paying the bills? Keep in mind, we never joined our accounts. He wanted to, but we never did, because he wouldn't show me the offshore, the savings account, which of course never existed. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, I know that I saw his checking account, I know that I saw his savings account, and he had money in there. Something had to be true. Something had to be true. And Chris was like, no. He said, it sounds like everything my brother said, everything that he told you was made up. He said, those phone calls were definitely made up. He said, I don't know who Egypt is. That's not any family member of ours. I don't know who Shantae is. We don't have a sister. He said, we don't have half brothers. He was like, I'm telling you who the family members are. He said, I am so sorry that my brother put you through this. So now let's go into the next part. Part 42. Who the fuck did I marry? So I finished going through the book bag. Still July of 2021. I finished going through the book bag. There were some other folders with papers in there. He had left the work phone. What I actually found out was that it was not a work phone. It was simply a secondary personal phone. He told me it was a work phone. I thought that the company was paying for the work phone. That's what I thought. No, because I found receipts where basically, and I didn't know this, ladies and gentlemen, I had no idea, but I found receipts where it was a prepaid phone and he's paying to add minutes to it. So it's just receipts of, you added minutes to the phone on this date, you added minutes on that date. So the work phone whole thing, that was a bold-faced lie. Obviously it was a lie, because as we now know, he was a forklift loader. So the work phone that he's been walking around with was really just a secondary phone. He had left the phone. He took his personal phone, meaning the main phone, I should say, but the work phone he left. So I'm going through the work phone, just trying to find some sort of answer. Now what is really burning in my mind is how is it that he had all this money in the accounts, but again, the last time I saw him, he's living in his car? Like, the math is not mathing. I go into not just the photos of the work phone, I go into the deleted folder. So ladies and gentlemen, if you're gonna go through somebody's phone, which I will never do again, but if you're gonna go through the phone, don't just go through the text messages and the pictures, go into the deleted folder, because sometimes you find a gold mine. In this case, I went into the deleted folder of the pictures in the work phone. I keep saying work phones because, again, this is just a secondary phone. It is deactivated. There's no minutes on it. So I go into the deleted pictures, and what I see is what looks like a screenshot of his checking account, the one that I saw with the available balance. Then there's another photo of the screenshot of the savings that he showed me. Now, one of two things it could be. Either one,
to the people saying, what if it turns out that she made all this up and the real lie was a story entirely? One, that's crazy. Obviously, like, that would be almost phenomenal, considering how much she would have to make up. That's like even more impressive than like Legion making up shit. But we already know that that's not the case, because Legion himself has reacted. Where is it? In the interest of course, not conducting journalistic malpractice here, there's an entire collection of Legions. Yeah. This is spoiler alert, but this is Legion.
It's not real, and it was pulled offline. Or two, he took a screenshot of his own account and saved the photos. So this is when I got introduced to reverse Google image search. I did a reverse Google image search. Sure enough, as you probably have figured out, some of you, because I read it in the comments, what he showed me when he turned his phone around, showing me his available checking account balance, was nothing more than a screenshot that he had found on Google. When he showed me his savings, turned the phone around, because remember, I demonstrated for y'all how he was, and then, turned it around and showed it to me as if he was signing in. When he did that, he was simply showing me a screenshot that he had taken from Google Images. Because when I did a reverse Google image search with those two photos, the checking and the savings, it came right up. It was nothing more than just Google Images. In my phone, I didn't even need this, because again, I already knew that he was not a VP regional manager, but still, for shits and giggles, I did a reverse image search of the charcoal BMW. Remember I told y'all he had sent me pictures of the company car.
That's easy, Google.
Nothing more than a screenshot he had taken off of Google Images.
Of course, that part is easy.
The house that he showed.
How did she fall for a screenshot? That's crazy. I mean, that's not, dude, come on. He did a lot more shit that was like way, way more unhinged and way easier to prove than the Beamer. Come on.
Told me that he had in San Diego, Google Images. So what we can now confirm is Anything he showed me when he's turning his phone around is nothing more than an image from Google Images at this point. The checking account, the savings account, Google Images. The house, Google Images. The company car, that charcoal gray BMW 5 Series, Google Images. So at this point, I realized, okay, nothing is real. And I wasn't so much in a rage, to be honest with you. I wasn't in a rage then and there, as much as it was, I really truly had a moment where I said to myself, oh my God, what the fuck have I let in my life? Like, this is not even human at this point. That's really how I felt. Like, again, as someone who, I studied psychology, but I didn't graduate with a psychology degree. However, I have never dealt with a pathological liar. I have studied about them, but I have never come into contact with a pathological liar. Because to a compulsive liar...
Guys, I mean, listen, it's one of those things where it's such an elaborate ruse that, like, you almost feel like there's no way that someone would go to those lengths. Like, I kind of understand where she's coming from in some ways, where the lie is so elaborate that, like, you don't expect someone to be that cruel, especially because there's nothing, like, there's no benefit. There is no, can't be elaborate if you can reverse Google it. No, that's not what I'm talking about. That part is like pretty basic shit. But I do think that one of the major problems here is that it quite literally does not make sense. Like, he's only doing this for like manipulation, for the manipulation's sake. Do you understand? That's why it's like, the f is happening here? Like, there's nothing else going on. Also, I think Chad's forgetting that when you're in a relationship, you're not suspecting the worst of your partner. She trusted him and he used that trust to lie on her on all fronts. Like, he was doing it for the love of the game. You know what I mean? That's crazy. And obviously there's like definitely some areas where she could have pulled the exit valve a little bit, right? And she didn't. And I think that that's like partially a consequence of her like wanting to believe, sunk cost fallacy. This is happening during COVID. Desperation from her part too, to like believe that, like, there was definitely some motivated reasoning at play for sure. But I do, low self-esteem, conservatism plays a role as well, like playing a traditional role in this marriage. Like, she mentioned time and time again that she did not consult any of her friends or family members because she thought, like, this is supposed to be, I'm traditional, I'm old school. What happens inside of the relationship stays inside of the relationship. You know what I mean? But perhaps the most important facet that I think a lot of chatters are overlooking is that he was 6'4", as far as we understand. Unless he lied about that too, he at least looked 6'4" or tall enough. Okay? And I think you get away with a lot when you're 6'4".
If you ask the man, why did you lie to me? They probably are going to have a reason. Pathological liars don't have a reason. Like, there's no limit to the lie. So I have now confirmed that at least 70% of everything that I thought I knew is now absolutely not true. Absolutely not true. So in between all of this, I get a phone call from the aunt in Augusta. The aunt in Augusta, who Chris has confirmed is the mother's best friend. She is not their mother's sister or dad's sister. She's the best friend of the deceased mom. She calls me, and this is the one I have met. This is the one that Chris was like, I don't trust that hoe, anyway. So she called because she wanted to know what happened. She wasn't trying to be nosy or messy or anything like that. She's just trying to find out what happened because apparently Legion is trying to come stay with her. So she asked me, sweet lady, but she said, what happened with you guys? And I told her we're getting a divorce. I said, because he lied to me a lot. He lied to me a lot. And so what breaks my heart about the conversation with her is that she said, so whatever happened to the baby? Mind you, we went to Augusta, told her I was pregnant. I thought he told her that I had a miscarriage. He didn't. He never told this woman I had a miscarriage. So she informs me, this is what she tells me. So now we're confirming something else. She tells me that on at least 5 times while I'm at work, Legion was driving to Augusta and telling her that he was going to visit the church of where the parents allegedly started, the church that the parents started. And I was like, what do you mean he went to Augusta? She said, I've seen him like 4 or 5 times. He's come down here. And each time I've asked him to bring the baby. And I said, what baby? And she said, the baby that y'all had. He told me that y'all had a baby boy. And I said, no, ma'am. I said, I had a miscarriage in June of 2020. And she said, oh my God. Oh, you know, she was doing that whole thing. She said this whole time he told me that y'all had a son in January. And I had been asking him for pictures. I had been asking him to bring both of you down here so I could meet him. And he always had an excuse as to why he wouldn't bring the baby. And the last time he was in Augusta, he said that he was leaving you and he was taking the baby with him and that you were at work. I am not making this up. That is what that woman told me. And I just was like, no, ma'am, none of that is true. There is no baby. I said I had no idea he was going to Augusta. Next part. Part 43, who the did I marry? So after the conversation with the aunt, again, she's telling me that Legion has been keeping up this lie that we had a son. I let her know, no, ma'am, there was no baby. We did not have a baby. And I said, I thought that he told you. And she said, he's told a few people that you all had a baby. And she said, because I know some people were trying to send a gift to celebrate the birth. I didn't know anything about that. Didn't know anything about that. So she said, he's trying to come stay with me. She said, but I don't think I want him to, again, she's an older lady. She's like, I don't think I want him to come here because I don't really want to get involved with his divorce again. And I said, what do you mean again? I said, are you talking about the previous wife? And I said the previous ex-wife's name. She said, I don't know who that is. I'm talking about Latanya, that one, the first one.
God damn.
And I said, well, what happened? Do y'all remember I said in my previous video that I read their divorce records. He had filed for divorce and they had a temporary protection order against each other. I said that. So now the aunt is on the phone saying that she had to go to court and testify on Legion's behalf in regards to the temporary protective order. And I was like, well, what happened? She said they got into a fight with each other. And she slapped him. And I said, well, do you know why they got into a fight? And she said, yeah, apparently he had lied to the wife and it was something major and they got into a physical fight. And she said that woman almost beat his behind. And so he asked the court for a temporary protective order. So now I'm just getting the backstory on how that TPO was even came into play. So I told her, I said, you know, Miss Christy, we'll call her. I said, you don't have to worry about that. I said, we're not, he's already signed the paperwork. We're not fighting. I don't have it in me. I don't. So
she dodged that one. She almost did, which is kind of understandable for sure. But she did luckily dodge that part. She was close. Remember, she almost did beat him with a lamp is what she said.
I said, I'm not going to tell you not to have certain people in your home, but I am going to tell you that I'm just barely kind of discovering exactly what the lies are in regards to Legion. So if you feel comfortable having him in your home, then do it. I said, but I am going forward with this divorce, and once the divorce is final, I will have nothing to do with him. And I said, and I'm so sorry, you know, that he lied to you and kind of pulled at your heartstrings in regards to a baby. I said, there is no baby. So she said, so y'all are really getting a divorce? I said, and I didn't want to cuss to the older ladies, but I said, yes, ma'am, we are. And so we get off the phone. Also during this time, Legion would call me every now and then. Legion had no idea. I've spoken to his ex-wife. I've spoken to his brother. I've spoken to his female cousin. He had no idea. I have now, if we want to go through real quick and talk about what we can confirm. We can confirm that there is no sister. We already knew there was no baby. There was no VP job. Again, he was a temp, and apparently he was making decent money. So what I believe, and this is just what I think off of putting pieces together, I think that he made enough money to pay the household bills, because it wasn't as if the household bills were so expensive. He made enough money to live on his own. But instead of him living on his own, he's living with me. So we can also confirm that when he told me that he was paying his car off and he called the dealership and paid his car off, we can confirm that that's a lie. That story will come up later on. So pretty much at this point, the only thing I know to be true, his name, his date of birth, the secondary social security number that was on my background check, and that he has 2 brothers and the parents are deceased. At this point in time of July 2021, that's all that I was able to confirm that to be true. So later on, Legion calls me. He calls me because he wants some money. He just needs a little bit of money to hold him over till payday. And so we're on the phone. The call, again, I was recording all my calls at the time. We're on the phone, and I finally kind of confronted him, number one, about having a twin. That's when he tells me, you know, I don't know why I lied, but I don't really talk about him. Number 2, I asked him about.
Yeah, the craziest part about it is like paying for everything. So he lied, and can benefit of him lying was to pay for everything and have someone believe him. That is like, despite being a bum overall, it is kind of wild that he just like paid for all the groceries and shit. Like that part is actually legitimate. Like stories like this happen, not all the time and not to this severity, but rarely do you have a situation where like, rarely do you ever have a situation where the dude is like invested in the lie to this degree and also simultaneously like not benefiting financially from the circumstances. That's why I even was like, maybe he's gonna like assassinate her. Like maybe he's gonna like be dumb enough to try to like poison her after putting like a life insurance on her or some shit. You know what I mean? Secretly. Because like there's just like when you have a con man, he's got to have a con. The con man doesn't just stop and end at confidence. The confidence man usually has a con that he's running.
I asked him, why did he get fired from the condiment company?
My life is so funny.
Story is
watching a Turkish left-wing streamer dressed as a goth, watching a woman, first of all, emo, watching a woman talk about her ex-husband in her car. This is such a meta experience for me. And you know what? I'm totally in for it. Yep. That's the internet, baby.
that he got fired because he had helped a truck driver and he was not supposed to. I know it's a lie. Y'all don't even have to tell me. I know it's a lie. Number 3, I asked him, why did you tell your aunt that we had a baby? He claims he never told her that and that she's old and she didn't know what she was talking about. So then I asked him if he was ever in trouble where he's been arrested. And he said, yeah, I've been arrested as a juvenile, but my father had my record expunged. I said, were you ever arrested as an adult? He said, no, I ain't never been arrested as an adult. I said, so you never went to weekend jail? He said, no, I don't even know what that is. So he doesn't know what weekend jail is. So that's his story. And so he was still standing by the lies he told me. So finally, I just asked him, and this is where let me just say it. I asked him, why the hell did you even marry me? Like, why? Why did you even marry me? Because you easily could have just stayed dating or been the boyfriend or just moved on with your life. Like, you didn't have to marry me. You didn't have to pull me into a marriage and make me think that this is what you wanted. This is what he said to me on that phone call. He said, I had to marry you. And I was like, no, you didn't. He said, yes, I did. He said, I knew full well from day one that there was no way you were going to stay my girlfriend for longer than a year. He said, I knew it. He said, I knew in order to keep you, I was going to have to marry you. Y'all, my jaw hit the ground.
But
I
like,
cannot believe
why?
he said it. And he said it so matter of fact. And I was like, that is the most fucked up thing.
I mean, it is honest, but like, I don't get it. Like, what do you get out of this manipulation? It makes no goddamn sense. It's like a serial killer. I talked about this before, but like, you know, when you hear about like serial killers who just like go out and like kill random people, and it's like terrifying because it's not like a passionate, it's not a murder of passion. Isn't that what it's called? Like, there's no motivation beyond just like a person who is just broken. Okay. And it makes no goddamn sense. It's like a crime of passion. Yes. It's not a crime of passion. It's just like, you're saying the housing crisis has gone too far, but like the dude was paying for the rent and the groceries. Like, he's broke too. It's not like he has a lot of money. He's like scrounging up pennies, like paying for all this shit specifically so he could game this woman all the time with the weirdest nonsense. You're falling for his lies? No, I'm not. If he spent all of this time, investment, and finances and everything else on like being a productive member of society or doing literally anything else, he probably, if he spent it on doing actual cons, you know what I mean? He's a confidence man. Do a con. You know what I mean? Steal some fucking banknotes. Steal money. Do something. It makes no sense. You'd be way better off. Yeah, at the end of the day, he's doing it for like a shared Netflix subscription. You know? Bro, if he did this, he could have, I feel like this level of energy and investment, he could have robbed the bank and gotten away with it. Okay?
44. Who the fuck married? The videos that you saw earlier were filmed earlier today. And yes, I'm aware. It was brought to my attention. I had to make a decision whether or not to finish, keep my word, or stop, disappear. I mean, disappear. Okay. Let's finish. So, first of all, let me say this. It is not easy telling this story. It's entertaining. I know it's gone viral. But it is not easy telling this story. I made a decision to tell the story. I made a decision to share my story, what I went through, in hopes that it helps just one person. But I would be remiss if I didn't tell you all, it is not easy telling this story, to relive it, to face certain things out loud that I had to face internally. Just want to say that. So I will push forward to finish, but today got to me. The toll of this got to me today. So I know that you all are like, we're waiting on the next part. We're waiting on the next part. I appreciate that. And I get it, because if I was in those shoes, I would be waiting too and be like, where is it? So I understand that. But the toll was real today. All right. So with that being said, we are still in July of 2021. I had talked to the brother, Chris. I had talked to the aunt. I talked to all these people. And now was the time where I had saw the receipts for the weekend jail type thing. So I went ahead and did a search for his criminal history. I ran his criminal history. I did that on my own at home with my money. So this was not, I think someone had asked if I did anything with my job. No, I did not. I know better. So I ran a criminal history, or I paid for a criminal background report. For him to say that he appreciates law enforcement so much, it was obviously a lie, because the criminal history showed that he had been arrested for criminal trespassing. He had been arrested for like suspended license, suspended registration. But the big thing was impersonating an officer. If you don't know anything about impersonating an officer, it is a felony. Period.
Damn, dude. My man is doing everything, bro. He's just, oh, dude, he probably did. That's probably the greatest. Oh my God. I wish I could have seen a legend at his peak. You know what I mean? This is like seeing Mozart when he's alive. Okay. Composing his greatest work. Like Legion playing the role of a police officer. I would love to see that. I bet he killed it. Okay. I'd love to see a legend in the field. Okay. Doing his greatest one yet.
Point blank. As sure as Peachtree runs from Bankhead to Buckhead, it is a felony. So
yeah, it's the Jordan flu game of
what
lies.
Court it was in, I did another open records request for the incident report. I wanted to know exactly what the circumstances were, especially given the fact that I worked in law enforcement at the time. What were the circumstances as to how he was arrested for impersonating an officer? So I did an open records request. I got the incident report, and I'm tired of saying my jaw hit the floor, but on this one, my jaw hit the fucking floor.
Oh my
I respect
God.
law enforcement. Again, I was working in an agency with a lot of great men and women. Basically, what the incident report, and I'm paraphrasing it because I don't have it sitting in front of me. Basically, what the incident report shows is that he pretended to be an officer using a badge. I later found out it was the badge that his dad had as a former correction officer. Same last name. So he was pretending to be a police officer at an apartment complex on the south side of Atlanta, and proceeded to tell people that he was an investigator and he was looking for drugs. He also proceeded to try to pat down someone, and then also proceeded to try to go into a woman's apartment and do a search. This is in the incident report. So naturally, the woman who he was trying to get into her apartment to do a search happened to either work with or worked at a local police department. So she just simply called her coworkers or called her homeboys or whatever. And so he was subsequently arrested and subsequently was charged and found guilty. That is what I found in his criminal record report. It is fair to note, had I known that he had a criminal history, we never would have even finished date number 1.
Damn, dude, he would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't like an actual. Bro, this dude keeps trying to con like people that work with police departments and shit. You know what I mean? That's what he f***ed up on.
Some things I'm just not going to get involved with if I know from the rip. So what does this mean? Again, we've been going over what's the lie, what can you confirm? I can confirm that there was no way that this man ever had a passport.
To be fair, when you think about it, honestly, he probably did it. He just got caught this time around because he did it, like, even impersonating a police officer. I have no reason to believe that he wasn't doing it successfully, now that I think about it, and then like landed on the wrong one time and then got in trouble for it. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the first time he did it. That was just the last time he was able to do it. You feel me?
To take me to London. When he claimed that he was voting in the election, there's no way that he did, because he tried to tell me that he was still a registered voter in California.
Okay, well, that part is, you know, yeah. Wow, I can't believe he didn't vote.
That he did it online. I knew it was a lie, but again, at this point in July, I'm able to confirm that, yeah, you never had a passport. You never voted. The small things that mean something to me, he never did it. He wasn't eligible to. So now I know that not only have you, yes, been arrested. Now, what happened as a juvenile, I don't care, but you have been arrested. You have done some sort of time. And now it explains why you knew your way around the county so well. If you go back to the previous videos, I had mentioned that I was wondering, how do you know your way around here? And the story was his sister used to live in this county, and he would come visit when he would fly in from California, when he would go see his parents in Augusta. That was the story. So that explains the criminal history. And I'm also going to take you guys back and remind you when I had to go in for my polygraph, and how the polygrapher had asked me, do you know anyone that is a convicted felon that you have relationships with, blah, blah, blah. And remember, I said to him, my husband and I are estranged. I honestly don't know. Fast forward to July, where I find out that, yes, in fact, on top of everything, I was married to a convicted felon.
Oh, that's so cooked.
Had no idea. No idea whatsoever. And it's nothing but the grace of God that I was honest with the polygrapher and telling him, look, I don't know what's in this man's background. To say that I have no idea who I married is an understatement.
I guess
it is a complete
safe
understatement. It's fair to say, well, you
safe.
only knew him for like
Technically,
2.5 weeks
she's
before you
right.
quarantined with him. That's
she didn't
fair.
lie.
And I can understand that, and I take responsibility for that. But in the big scheme of things, I had no idea the creature that I was sleeping next to every night. No idea. All right, part 45, who the fuck did I marry? So we are now end of July, August timeframe. During this time, Legion basically disappeared. Remember, I'm still waiting on the final divorce decree to come up. I'm actually waiting for the 30 days to be up so I can file the divorce settlement form. So I'm waiting on those 30 days to be up. I'm playing nice with him. I'm being cordial. I have uncovered all kinds of stuff. But just in case he was going to act a fool, I was trying to be cordial. So I had spoken to him on like a Monday, and I was trying to get a hold of him for something. But I'm the one that initiated a phone call in the coming days. Never heard from him. Never heard from him at all. His phone was dead. It was going straight to voicemail. And I genuinely was worried. A few days turned into a week. By the time I hadn't heard from him in a week, because I knew he was not living anywhere but his car. I knew that. So this is what happened, y'all. I first reached out on Facebook. Remember, even though he has told me that he had all these siblings, we know he didn't have all these siblings. But remember, I told y'all I had met the brother in Augusta, and I had met the brother in Baltimore. These are people I've met. The brother in Baltimore I talked to on FaceTime. The brother in Augusta I've actually physically met, hugged, shake hands, all that. So I reached out on Facebook to people that I remember him talking about all the time. The friend Omar, the brother in Augusta, the brother in Baltimore, another cousin in Augusta. I was doing a search for these people's names, just like, hey, have you heard from Legion? The brother in Augusta told me, no, I haven't heard from him. I've been trying to reach him, but the phone's going straight to voicemail. I knew he was living in his car. So my brain was doing everything it could not to go on the deep end. I reached out on Facebook to the brother in Baltimore, and I said, hey, gave him my name, and I said, have you heard from Legion? Now, mind you, the brother in Baltimore and him have talked on speakerphone. I guess it's important that I make that distinction. They have talked on speakerphone. So I know that they have talked at least in 2020. So I said to him, again, according to Legion, they talk all the time, but I've heard them on the phone in 2020. So I said, have you talked to him? The brother from Baltimore informs me.
Hi, I specialize in personality disorders. A way to make Legion's behavior make a bit more sense is a disordered way of getting closeness by trying to control the relationship through lying. A lot of times these behaviors do the exact opposite of what the goals are, and the person isn't really aware of their behavior, causing the issues because early on, life has taught them that this is the only way the world works. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Essaying holy. Yeah, that is essaying, but positive essaying. Pretty chill. This is a productive essaying and not the normal kind of essaying normally get. Love is a real psychologist, as opposed to the other chatter who said, I too specialize in personality disorders and I disagree. Okay, chatter. Respect. Yikes. Those neck tats are cringe. That's what your mom didn't say last night when she chimed in with the haven't you people ever heard of closing a goddamn door? No. Can I join in on this threesome? Is what she said. And we had a threesome. We're in a throuple now. I'm your father. I'm your emo father. And you're now grounded. Imagine I roll up as your new stepdad. I'm like, you're grounded, son. Don't touch my guy liner. That's why I grounded you.
No, I ain't talked to him. He owes me money. So I ain't got nothing to say to him. And I said, wait a second. Like, he was telling me that y'all are brothers. He was like, man, he's like a brother. But I don't fuck with it. I don't fuck with him because he owes me money. So they had not spoken. This is now July 2021. They had not spoken in well over 6 months. So all the phone calls, this is what it means, guys. All the phone calls that he had with the brother in Baltimore in 2021 were not real. Then I reached out to the Omar guy. And I remember the story was that he and him known each other's years since California, worked together at the condiment company. I reached out to Omar and said, have you heard from Legion by any chance? Explained who I was. He responds with, and I'll never forget it, he responds with, no, I have not heard from him. I have absolutely no contact with him whatsoever. We are not friends, and I would appreciate if you do not reach out to me again about him. The stories I was told was that this dude is supposedly his best friend. Shocking moment. So they had not spoken in years. They're not cool. He does not fool with him. Okay. Went on to the next person, a female cousin I had met. She said, no, I have not heard from him. Why would I hear from him? We don't really talk. Like, I think she was genuinely weirded out by the fact that I'm reaching out to her out of the blue asking, hey, by any chance, have you talked to my soon-to-be ex-husband? So what I discovered because he ended up being gone for 2 weeks. What I discovered in those 2 weeks, let me be very clear with the statement I'm getting ready to make. I reached out to every person I know who apparently has had some form of relationship with him. Either he said that they were friends, they talked on the phone, he said they hung out.
I feel like there's a lot of motherfuckers like this out there. Not to this degree, by the way. This guy's like unique, okay? There's a lot of people who are just like habitual bridge burners and just like pieces of shit in general to like everyone around them. And like, I think in my adulthood, I've also learned that like sometimes you encounter a person like this, you just got to cut them out. And there's not really anything you can do other than just cut them out of your life. It is unironically the healthy thing to do. Many people are almost personally like they're perma stuck in their relationships because they think like, well, I've known this person for a long time and like it's fine and we can get over it, and sometimes you just can't. Sometimes you just gotta cut your losses and move on.
The brother in Baltimore, I was told, had been to the house while I was at work. Brother in Baltimore said, no, that never happened. I've never been to your house. All these people knew that Legion was a liar, and I think that they all felt bad, with the exception of the Omar guy, felt bad that I was kind of just discovering what they've known for years. In those 2 weeks, I found out every single person I reached out to, not a single one of them gave a shit if that man was dead or alive. All of them had the attitude, some even said it, no, I haven't heard from him. I don't care to hear from him. It was as if, for me, it was such a sad moment because I discovered this man has no friends. Fuck whatever he has said. I am now able to prove it. He has no friends. There is nobody who is concerned that they have not heard or seen him in over 2 weeks. Some people months. One guy years. None of them were concerned. So basically what I'm saying is that I discovered he had burned bridges with everyone. Burned bridges with family. Burned bridges with so-called friends. Burned bridges with fake brothers, fake sisters, fake aunties, uncles, everything. He had burned...
I mean, shit, I'll be lying too at that point,
bridges with everyone. And for me, that was more telling than anything else. Yes, I knew he was a liar. Yes, I knew he had made stuff up. I was genuinely surprised to discover nobody gave a shit about this man. No one. I had never met every single family member, but the fact that he was living in his car, the fact that he wasn't bathing and was just had disappeared was shocking to me. So, where was he for those 2 weeks? Glad you asked. He had checked himself into a behavioral hospital in Augusta. Why? Not to get help. No. This is July in Georgia. It's hot as hell. It's sweaty. It's damp. It's humid. It's everything. He checked himself into a hospital so he could stop sleeping in his car for 2 weeks. When he checked himself in, they took his phone, and that's why no one was able to get a hold of him. And by no one, I mean me. He checked himself into a hospital so that he could have a bed for a couple of weeks. That's the type of human being.
I mean, that's like, he is desperate. Like, I don't think I'm not gonna shit on him for that. You know what I mean? At that point, he's like looking for shelter, right? Like, I mean, he's a bad dude, but still deserves shelter.
That I was dealing with. Part 46, who the fuck did I marry? So after the whole missing in action debacle where he disappeared for a couple of weeks, Legion started calling and texting me, telling me that he was ready to come home. Yes, you heard that correct. So apparently someone had told him that legally he did not have to leave the house when I kicked him out because it was a marital home and he had just as much right to be there as I did. So he started harassing and calling the shit out of me. He was calling, 30 times in 1 hour. He was Facebook Messenger calling me. Let me be clear. Facebook Messenger calling me. He was calling me so much. He was messaging me saying, I'm coming home. I'm going to get some money and drive up from Augusta. You have to let me in the house. It's not fair what you're doing. All
Gotta get out of the house.
I mean, it was nonstop. He would start calling at 7 o'clock in the morning. He would not stop calling until 10 o'clock at night. He was calling so much, leaving messages, like I said, just straight up harassing me. So I reached out to attorney friends. I reached out to local law enforcement. Local law enforcement informed me, well, technically, he's right, because he is still legally your husband. Our divorce had not been finalized at this point. The paperwork had been sent in. I was just waiting on the...
Dude, the American legal system is so... This part of the story is all too common, especially with like domestic abuse victims. And it's crazy that there's like nothing you can do about it. Like what? There's no court mandate that you can like get in or anything like that. Yeah, people literally died because of what the cops are saying in the situation.
Judge to give me her signature, but it hadn't happened yet. So the local law enforcement did tell me if he comes back, our officers would have to let him in the house. You don't have to stay there. They gave me different options. I mean, I was trying everything in the book because he is saying, I'm coming back to the house. I told him, do not come. You are not welcome. I'm not letting you in the house. Again, the locks had been changed. The code had been changed. So I told him, if you come to this house, step foot on this property, I'm calling the police and getting you arrested for trespassing. You should know about that. He was adamant. He was adamant that he was allowed back in the home. He didn't know the conversations I had with local law enforcement.
Nightmare.
But somebody was in his ear telling him, nah, you can go home because she's not allowed to kick you out. Okay. So I didn't know when he was scheduled to come because he was trying to get the money
Straight up
for the gas
nightmare
to get
situation.
back to Clayton County. I tried everything I could. Basically, what my options were simple. Let him in the home, and I can stay in the home, put him in a room, just have no dealings with him. But again, I don't want to be under the same roof with him. This is what the local police told me. I could have an officer go room to room and let his body cam film the room to see the condition of the house. And if Legion showed up, I would leave the house. I can go to a family member's home and stay there. This is literally in August, right before my lease is up. So I was...
Why didn't they tell her that she should get a restraining order? Isn't that temporary, a temporary fix? Ironic, because I've had this conversation with the police before, many years prior, when I was getting a sea of death threats. This is like before I even started on Twitch. That's why I always say, like, for 10 years I've been getting fucking death threats. This shit ain't new to me. And my manager was like really adamant. She was like, we printed out all the death threats. We're going to take it to the cops and we're going to try to do something. Cause like one of the dudes that was issuing the death threats was literally like involved with law enforcement. So they had found out my address through my license plate. So we took it to a detective and I was like, I don't really care. They're not gonna do shit. And the cops literally, first thing they told me before the even detective that I talked to, the first thing the cop told me was, remember chat, this is literally before I started streaming on Twitch. Okay. First thing he said was, yeah, you got to get a gun. We can't do anything. You got to get a gun to protect yourself. I was like, okay. That's insane. You're a cop. This is California. It's not easy to get a gun here. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, he was like, well, you know, restraining orders don't work in the way that you think it does. And he like went through this long convoluted process of explaining to me, like, people think the restraining order is a temporary barrier that like physically stops someone from coming in. They can. It's just what they can still come over. It just is a way to file with the courts that this person is like illegally in your presence. So if they're trying to kill you, the restraining order is not going to do much. You know what I mean? It's like, we can only come after the fact, after the deed is done. I was like, all right, great. Thanks. I'll off. I literally was like, so what are you talking about? Like, you know, what do you mean? Like, so what happens like to, I literally asked him, I was like, so what happens with like domestic violence situations? Like when people get restraining orders, like, yeah, this happens a lot, actually. It's really sad. Nothing we can do about it. Straight up in that tone. It's like, okay.
Already moving. I had already secured another home, did exactly what I said I was going to do, moving to Cobb County. So I just needed a couple of weeks before I vacate the home. So the other option was, you know, again, have the officer film the home with the body camera. That way it shows what the condition of the home is at the time that he moved in. So if anything gets messed up, I can sue him. What am I going to sue him for? But nevertheless, or the third option is I can stay there with him, make life miserable. So my plan was the option of have them film the home. I was not staying in the same house with him. I didn't care. Also, there was no guarantee, and I told the officer this, look, if y'all allow him to stay in this house, I am telling you by tomorrow morning, every utility in this house will be off. He will have no running water. He will have no air condition. This place will feel like a sauna. Officer kind of chuckled and was like, again, ma'am, I mean, this is one of those domestic situations. He is allowed in the home. Okay. So again, I had no idea when he was coming. I was on pins and needles. every day. I'm seeing the phone ring, like I said, about 30 times every hour. I'm seeing the messages. I'm seeing this. I had reached out to a police captain. I had reached out to the chief of police. I was trying to get all kinds of help. Like, it ain't what you know, it's who you know. So he eventually tells me I'm going to be there on Wednesday. This is just an example. I'm going to be there on Wednesday. I had been calling a police captain who was really gracious, really kind, and was trying to help me because I was like, bro, I just need 2 weeks and I'm out of this house.
Bro, remember, she's a civilian that worked with this police department. And they're still like, yeah, nothing we can do about it. I'm willing to bet if she was a cop, straight up, things would be very different. This is the special treatment she's getting as a civilian that works with law enforcement. Straight up gang, dude. No, it wasn't a cop who made death threats against me. The person who made death threats, I think, like, had cops he was friends with. And that's how he was able to track down my address from my license plate of my car. Wow, thanks. Guess I'll just die then. What if she was a cop? Should you just kill him legally? Yes. Why is everyone assuming Legion is dangerous? Was he violent or something? No, but like, what do you mean? People are assuming Legion is dangerous because he's like been caught in a massive and a pathological liar. It's perfectly valid for her to fear for her safety at this point, which I suspect she doesn't even fear for her safety. We are fearing for her safety more than she is, realistically. She wants to be left alone, and he's like, nah, that, I'm coming over. Previous wife had a restraining order for a fight. It wasn't, the restraining order wasn't the restraining order was put not against Legion as far as I understand, but the Legion got one against his wife, I think. Because he's homeless and has nowhere to go. Damn, dog. If someone is homeless and has nowhere to go, then yeah, no, it's okay. I got it. That's crazy. You have to be baiting, right? I'm actually a little confused in the situation. Like, yeah, we are obviously for, are you denying his right to a shelter? Wow, fake socialist. Yeah. It's like, dude, I know. Socialism means that like you should let your pathological liar ex stalk you. That's how it works. That's how it works, bro. Socialism is actually just gifted subs at the top of the hour, honestly. There's no other form of socialism as valid as that. It's his house though, at least for a bit more. No, dude, that's crazy.
House. And we already knew he legally could not go to the new house. I was trying to see if I could move in early to the new place. The landlord was like, I
with another
really
50, what the fuck?
So I felt like I was running out of options. He's saying he's coming. He's adamant he's coming. I guess somebody felt sorry and gave him some gas money so he could drive from Augusta up to Clayton County. So the day before all this goes down, the police captain called me and he informs me that they ran his name through GCIC, which is a database that law enforcement agencies use. Turns out he has a warrant for his arrest. So the police captain says this changes everything. If he shows up to the house,
that's
don't
crazy.
Do anything, call us.
That's crazy, bro. The cops are like, oh, great. That's free. That's free for us, baby. Like, I love that they're like, hey, if you're about to be like domestically violated by your now stalker ex-husband, who you are currently in legal battle with, who just is utilizing the legal system to just do whatever he wants, that's one thing. But let me tell you, okay? Turns out he's got an arrest warrant. Oh, easy peasy, baby. We're there no matter what. He's like, great news. Your stalker ex-husband that you're trying to currently get out of a marriage with, well, it turns out he's also a criminal. So at least now we can, now we're interested. This changes everything. You can be bait for us. Yeah, he has a warrant. Say less. No shot the cops with a we Googled him. Turns out he's not a nice guy. Yeah.
I will have officers to your home and they will simply arrest him. So I know that this is a short part, but I'm going to dedicate the next part to what happened when he showed up to my house. Part 47.
Oh my God.
Did I marry? So here's what happened. This was mid-August. Went to work as usual. It actually happened on a Friday. I had to look at the dates. It happened on a Friday. Went to work. Still, he was calling me, texting me, messaging me that he was on his way. And so I was a bit on pins and needles all day. I was dreading going home. And that
cops show up, notice he's 6'4", let him leave.
It is a horrible feeling to dread to go home. So he had called me and said that he was at the house in the driveway. I guess he had to use the restroom, so he decided to go to the Walmart up the street to go use the bathroom. I wasn't answering phone calls. I wasn't answering text messages. I simply called the police captain. I said, hey, he's saying that he's at the house. The police captain himself drove by the house, but I believe he drove by the house when Legion went to Walmart to use the bathroom. So the police captain was like, I don't see anyone there, but again, when you get home, if he is there, do not engage, call us. Okay, no problem. Because I got you on speed dial. So I go home. I'm on the phone with.
I like that the arrest warrant all of a sudden magically makes him like a way scarier person in the cop's eyes. Like, same guy, okay? Same guy. What did he get an arrest warrant for? We don't even know, but it's like all of a sudden he's like, whoa, he has a criminal record and an arrest warrant. Don't interact with him. Before, your bitch ass, as the police chief, was literally like, yeah, he's going to have to come and stay at your house. If you want, we can, go live with another person. That's crazy, dog. That's actually crazy. It's called person of interest for a reason. It's just like nuts that our legal system is so busted.
Mother and my aunt on a three-way call. They're both like, oh my God, what do we need to do? I drive into my subdivision. What he did not know was that he had backed into the driveway up against the garage. Normally I park my car in the garage, but what he didn't know was that at the time I was driving a fleet car. So I wasn't even in my normal car. And I know that he was waiting to see my car, the Nissan Altima that he helped get, pull in to the subdivision and then pull in towards my townhome. That didn't happen because I'm in a different car. He didn't recognize it. So when I turned onto my street, as sure as it is hot in Georgia in the summer, that man was sitting in the driveway in his Ford Taurus. Okay? So I live at the time not far from a cul-de-sac. So when you go straight down, you just turn around the cul-de-sac to come back up. So that's exactly what I did. I went to the corner, turned off so that I can see the house, but he would not have been able to see me. I went ahead and called 911. I was very calm, told them exactly what the captain had told me to say. I was like, my name is, the address is, I need police here because my ex-husband is here. He is not supposed to be here. And I feel as though I am in danger.
Wait, she should have said he has a criminal arrest
regular
warrant.
phone call. She said, we're dispatching police to your home. As soon as I hang up, I then call the police captain. He immediately answers the phone. He says, we just got the call. I'm sending 4 officers your way. Okay, good. Get off the phone, call my mom and my aunt back because they were both like, call us back. Call them back on 3-way. I continue to sit there until I see 4 officers, 4 cars pull in and stop just in front of my house. So then I ease up. He gets out the car, I guess, trying to see what's going on. I explain to the officer that walks to my window. I say, this is what's going on. So I was trying to sound extra law enforcement smart. I was like, check him through GCIC. You're going to find that he has a warrant out for his arrest for violation of probation. And the officer kind of smirked because she was like, we know.
That's it. This is violation of probation. Oh my God.
We already checked GCIC. The captain called us. So I was like, okay. So anyway, they tell me to sit in the car. They go up to the window of the car and ask him to step out of the car. He does. When he stepped out the car, I was like, oh my God. I hadn't seen him since the end of June when I met him at the UPS store. And he looked bad then. He was still in the same clothes. When I told you guys when I met him, he was like a size 3X. What got out of the car was easily a medium or large. Easily. That is how, and it makes sense because, he probably wasn't eating, except for somebody gave him $6 for chicken nuggets. But what got out of the car was something I didn't even recognize. So he gets out of the car, they arrest him. There was no incident or anything like that. He was arrested peacefully. They put him in the back seat. My neighbors are all looking like, what is going on? And so the officer comes up to me and she said, he's asking to speak to you. Do you want to speak to him? I said, yeah.
No!
So she walks with me. Keep in mind, she's wearing a body cam. So she walks with me to the window. They put the window down. And I remember looking at him. I was like, I told you not to come. And he said, I just wanted to get my stuff. I just wanted to get the TV. I said, what TV?
I wanted to get my Invicta watches.
The TV that you gave me in the divorce? And he was like, yeah, that TV. And I said, it's mine. You gave it to me. I have the fucking text messages proving that you gave me the TV. And I'm trying not to scream because the neighbors are all watching. And he was like, I know. I just needed my stuff. I'm sorry. I'll never bother you again. I'm sorry. And so I look at the officer and I was like, you have me out here with 4 fucking police cars. You have embarrassed me to no end. You have made a fool of me. And you got the audacity to now be like, I'm sorry. I'm like, fuck, you're sorry. So the officer was kind of like, okay. I said, I never want to see you again. He was like, you won't. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. So I walk off. The officer is like, going through the stuff that was in his wallet. They took it out and put it on the roof of the car. So the stuff that was in his pants, like his wallet, his keys, they put it on the roof of the car when they had him get out the car. And so she's just like, I said, did you catch all that on body cam? And she said, yeah. I said, he gave me the TV. And she said, yeah. She's like, we're going to take him in and, we'll have somebody look at him because in her words, she said he's definitely having a mental episode right now in the back seat. And I just shrugged and I was just like, Mike, I just said, I just want to be done with him. I just want to be done. I just want to be done. And so she was like, I understand. I totally get it. So his car is in my driveway. The keys and everything are, they took it with them because I guess since it was on him, they took it with them for processing at the jail. I think that's how that works because I didn't see the wallet or the keys afterwards. So at this point, 4 officers leave. I go into the house. Everything's peaceful and calm.
The more she's talked about his downfall, the more I felt bad for him. Like I hate to admit it, but it's just like he's insane. Okay. And I mean that both like in the colloquial sense, but I also kind of mean that in like the literal medical sense too. Like he's just so up. I don't know how else to describe it. Like he's just up, dude.
A few minutes later, I go outside to check the mail. What's in the mail? But a letter from the court. I open it up. I go into the house because, again, it's hot. I had my wig on. My head is all sweaty and stuff. I'm just angry and just angry. That raised my blood pressure. So I go in the house. I sit on the steps inside the house, and I open up the mail from the judge, and it's my final divorce decree. And I'm smiling right now. But, y'all, when I got that divorce decree sitting on the stairs, I broke down into ugly Oprah tears. I broke down. It was as if a year worth of weight came off of me. I broke down, and I mean, I wailed. I broke down. I broke down so bad. Next part. All right, part 48. Who the fuck did I marry? So after I finished breaking down, wiped my tears, and his car is still in the driveway. I couldn't park in the driveway. So I called the car company. I had called the car company once before when he went missing for those 2 weeks to ask them if they maybe had a tracker on the car and could track it. And the nice gentleman informed me that the tracker had not been giving a signal off for about 5 months. So he wouldn't really give me details on the car, but obviously the car payment was not being made on that car. It had not been made on that car for quite some time. So he and I split in June, but apparently the car payment wasn't made long before June. Can't speak to that, but he still had the car. So, called the car company. I told them, I understand that y'all looking for this Ford Taurus. And the lady said, yes, or you can make a payment. I said, no, y'all can come get it. Here's the address. When do y'all want to get it? And she said, well, I can have a driver come get it tomorrow morning. I said, no problem. That car will be ready for you to get it tomorrow morning. And so the car was repossessed out of my driveway the next morning, Saturday. The driver was there about 7 o'clock in the morning. He had the master key for the car, cranked it up, drove it, put it on the tow truck, and left. Here's what that now means. When Legion left my house in June, he left with 2 bags of clothes. Everything else was in my house. At the end of July, or towards the end of July, everything that he had left in my house had been donated to the domestic violence shelter, which means that the only thing that Legion had were the clothes that he had taken with him in the car. When he got arrested in my driveway, all of his clothes were still in the car. And
dude, that just sucks. Like this is what I mean. Now I feel kind of bad. Man, I'm such a pussy. Like he got nothing. He's homeless and now also devoid of a home. Like this is the only shelter he had is the car. Do not feel bad for these monsters. I still think like the system is supposed to take care of a person like this. Like he's just completely done. You know what I mean? Like the last thing that was like holding him grounded, the last thing that was like offering at least like a sense of shelter for this dude is gone. He's already homeless, but at least he had like a roof over his head. Oh, man.
When the car got repossessed Saturday morning, all of the clothes were in there. Which means that when he went to jail, whenever he got out, he only got out with keys to a car he no longer had, a wallet with probably no money in it, and the clothes that were on his back. Everything else was gone. Now we can fast forward to what happened around August 29th. So I was scheduled to move August 31st. Remember, I'm moving up to Cobb County. We have been checking the court documents. He had a court date scheduled for around August 29th or August 30th. I don't remember the exact date. The court time was supposed to be around 9 o'clock in the morning. My mom was watching the court filings online, and according to her, because I missed it, they showed him on the screen because this was still during Zoom. They showed him on the screen, and then he was ushered out of the court into like a back area, and an attorney spoke on his behalf. Between the time that he had been arrested and the time of the court date, I had never in my life slept so good. Truthfully, never slept so good. I was officially divorced. I had no ties to him. There was nothing in the house of his there was nothing of his that was still in the house. I felt free. So when the court date happened and my mom told me what she saw on the Zoom, I was confused. Is he getting out? Is he having to serve time? What's going on? I called the courts. I tried to speak to his attorney, and his attorney had a horrible attitude and was like, "Why are you calling me?" And I informed him. I said, "Look, I'm a bit afraid of this man. So can you please just tell me if he is being released, or is he going to be kept, or if he is going to be sentenced to a longer jail term?" He said, "No, he's not being kept in a longer jail term because the warrant had expired." So when the police arrested him, yes, it was a valid arrest, but the warrant had expired. So I believe the warrant had expired like 6 months earlier, but of course it wasn't.
Dude, I'm sorry, but God, I love the criminal justice system. It's so stupid. We have the dumbest criminal justice system of all time. There's just no justice at all at any part. Even when they're trying to be bad and like vindictive or draconian, they're just having a hard time doing that. Holy moly, that shit is so crazy. He's just, Jesus Christ. Yeah, it turns out he was arrested unjustifiably, which is why I said there needs to be a different, separate circumstance for domestic violence. Like, you shouldn't have to go to the cops. You know what I mean? Because cops don't know how to deal with it anyway. But even if they did know how to deal with it, like in the violent means, then you're pulling out the most violent way of dealing with a domestic violence situation, a potential domestic violence situation. Do you really go to emo night? No. How did the cops not know it was expired beforehand? Dude, the malpractice exhibited by American police departments will blow your mind, okay? This is what happens when you have maximum amounts of power and absolutely no accountability whatsoever. And also, he was 6'4". So the cops were like, "Oh shit, he's 6'4". This warrant is expired."
Put in the system. Which means that if the court date is August 29th, he's going to be released August 29th or August 30th. I'm moving August 31st. So my mom was just like, "Please just spend the night at your aunt's house. Like, just spend the night at your aunt's house, then go back to the house during the day. The movers will be there, and then just move." So that's exactly what I did, because there was concern that he would get out of jail angry and catch an Uber with no money and come back to the house, either for retaliation or because he's just in a fucking manic mode. And so that's where he went. I really didn't want to take any chances. It's just that simple. I did not want to take any chances. I knew that at that point, legally, the law's on my side. Y'all are divorced. You have no reason to be at this home. I knew that that's what the police would say. But I wasn't 100% sure, because truthfully speaking, I did not know this man. We can make all the jokes we want. I did not know this man. I thought I knew him, but you never really know.
He called her to get back to his place. No, she doesn't have the right to throw out her husband on a whim. Imagine if it was the opposite. That's crazy. Yo, Chatter is literally defending the dude coming back. No, that's insane. And yes, I can imagine a role reversal, and it would still be up. Why is it that like people think this is the maximum debate position you can put forward? Like, you think I'm just going to be like, "Oh, if it was a woman who like created an entirely false narrative and then turned around and was like lying the entire time, and then you found out about all of those lies, and then you filed for a divorce, and you were waiting for the divorce to be fully filed, but during the legal process where the divorce hadn't been finalized yet, well, I guess technically it doesn't matter, still your wife, so she could come and like be a freak when you're like, please don't come near me." That's crazy.
Logical liar. So, needless to say, he got released August 30th. I went to my aunt's house for the night. August 31st, I went back to the house. The movers were there. They packed me up, and we got out of there so quick. I think they packed me up in about 2 hours. I honestly told them, "There's extra money in this if you guys can get me packed up," meaning loaded up onto the truck, because everything was packed. But I explained to them, this is a domestic situation. I need you guys to move quickly. When I moved out of that house on August 31st, anything that Legion touched, I got rid of. I sold the furniture. I sold dining room tables. I donated plates, glasses. When I tell you, I moved out and I started over. I completely purged my life.
Being a freak doesn't mean you get thrown out of your home. That's insane, dude. That is actually insane. She has every right at that point to be like, "You can't come back here." I can't tell if you're like joking or not. Yes, it does. Dude, what do you mean? I have empathy to a certain degree for Legion's position, but like, that's actually wild that you're saying she can leave. Oh my God. Are you Legion? Are you Legion in the chat? What's happening right now? She can leave. She has a choice. He doesn't. Yes, he does. He already left at that point. You literally said he deserves shelter, but not her shelter. Exactly. What the fuck are you talking about? House ownership really changed you, Matt? Yeah. Guys, I'm gonna explain something to every single person that I think like maybe some people think that there's this like cartoonish depiction of the left out there that they subscribe to on their own for some weird reason. But like, having empathy for others doesn't mean that like for example, we talk about homelessness all the time, right? I want there to be a housing first policy in terms of dealing with homelessness. I want to make sure that the market forces are not pushing people out of the housing market. Okay. This does not mean that I think it's fine and dandy when like a homeless person is like, for example, terrifying your mom outside of your apartment and they're like having an episode. The way to deal with that obviously is not always going to be to call the cops unless there's someone like directly assaulting you, okay? But it's still not a good situation. You understand that? Like there's a line beyond empathy at that point. The people who need this explained to them need seriously help. Some people, I think, unironically are like, you're wrong. If someone is homeless, if someone is devoid of a home at that moment, in that point, like they should be able to go back to this person that they've like literally pathologically lied to endlessly, who very clearly do not have like the mental wherewithal. Like they should be able to live there. Is crazy. And I don't know what you mean. This is like excuse understanding of socialism. Yeah, there's I think a lot of people that just like think that this is like what this dude was doing is not valid, but that doesn't mean that he shouldn't be able to live there. And I don't know if you I just don't think you can put yourself in her shoes at all. I think that's what it is. I know it is her house. That's the other thing. It's literally her house.
Completely started over. I mean, I was not willing to take a single item into my new home that reminded me of him. From the dishes in the kitchen to the towels in the linen closet. When I tell you Amazon and Ross were my best friends, I mean they were my best friends because I could not fathom moving into a new home, a new space with anything that reminded me of him. I sold the bed, got a new bed. If he had bought me clothes, I got rid.
Shout about to be like, that's illegal. She shouldn't be allowed to sell the bed. She should have to sleep in the same bed. And actually, I'll take it one step further. He is legally supposed to sleep in the bed with him. I think that that's how it's supposed to go. Chatter about to be like, no, actually, that's not allowed. Okay. She has to wear the Invicta watches while in bed while they're having sex. Do you understand? That's just how it works. Okay. If someone lies to you, locks you in marriage under false pretenses, and just like lies to you consistently throughout that entire process, emotionally abuse you and mentally with you the entire time, it doesn't matter. You're cooked because you signed a paper, which means you're stuck. You're stuck with that person. You have to wear the WWE belts. You have to wear the Invicta watches, and you have to sleep in the same bed with this person who like abused you. That's crazy. That's a crazy take. You have to literally lay there with the piss bottles too.
Rid of him. If he bought me shoes and purses, okay, I kind of kept the heels, but everything else I got rid of. So I completely purged my life. Completely.
Yeah, I know, but like that guy's doing it in a socialist way. This is unironically a major part of the Republican Party platform right now. Yeah, no fault. The abolition of no fault divorce is legitimately a thing that Steven Crowder and many other conservatives are advocating for currently, which is really ironic because like there's a chatter in here who's doing that, but in a leftist way, I guess. Chatters will take the same exact position of Matt Walsh and say it uncritically, like repeat that position in here uncritically. It's literally no different than being like, oh, you care about homelessness? Well, why don't you house every homeless person in Los Angeles in your house? It's like, what are you talking about? That's not how any of this works. I'm dumbfounded by this idiotic take.
Started over from the bottom. In terms of just the move, I could not take any piece of him with me. Could not. Part 49. Who?
Yeah, by the way, this isn't even a no-fault marriage. That's the funniest part. This is a full-fault marriage. There is no more fault that you can get in this circumstance, for the record.
I'm married. So after the whole, I moved.
Now you've moved to goalposts. Now you're saying, obviously, she should divorce anytime she wants, but if she did, and he signed it, but if he paid rent, she should at least reimburse him for what he paid. The f are you talking about? He lived there while he paid rent. After you think he was paying rent? After she kicked him out? Is that what you genuinely think is going on here? Or are you turning around and now demanding that she pay him back the rent that he paid while they were living there together as he was lying about being an entirely different person? Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, apparently, I mean, I think he also like literally stopped paying rent regardless. No, you are just wrong. You just keep playing dumb to get more and more money from your stupid viewers. You are canceled, cringe lord, copium. Thank you for showing us what a not cringe person looks like on this beautiful Sunday. Fucking got him.
And I started over, basically, completely started over. So there was a period of time where different people had reached out to me, people who knew him. Apparently, he was still trying to find a couch to sleep on. And so one guy in particular had reached out to me because I guess Legion had asked him if he could come and stay with him and his family because he was homeless and had nowhere to go. And so he had lied and told the guy, because again, he's a liar. So he had lied and told the guy that, I had kicked him out. We're divorced. I had taken all his money.
Yeah, he also like scammed her too multiple times. 34 MKD 50. Thank you for the 50 gifted subs.
And so that's why he's homeless. So the gentleman simply was reaching out to me on Facebook to confirm what is actually true. And he and I talked, because he ended up calling me. He and I talked for a while. Very respectful, really nice guy, very compassionate. And so I told him, I was like, I said, we're divorced. So I have nothing to do with him. I said, I wouldn't bring him in my house with my family if I were you. But that's just me. And so the guy was like, lady, he didn't say lady, but
he's gifted 26,000 subs. It's really funny when you think about it because like it's Turkish lira. The currency exchange rate makes it so that it's like a couple pennies every single time. But it is wild that he's done that. 26,000 is so much, which is still an incredible amount. All right, let's continue.
But he was like, lady, you dodged a bullet. He was like, I know you may not see it now, my sister, but you dodged a bullet. You dodged a bullet big time. And so, just in talking to him, he was very encouraging. Like, it sounds like you got a good head on your shoulders. It sounds like you're a good woman. And no, he was not flirting at all. He was like, it sounds like you're a good woman. And I really hope this does not mess you up. Like, don't let him mess you up. Don't let him like diminish your shine kind of thing. And I appreciate that. I did. Because at that time, again,
she was not dodging the bullets. She was eating the bullets. Okay. She was taking it. She was tanking the bullets. Sure. But she was certainly not dodging them. She got hit like every time.
Had moved into my new place. 2021 was the worst year I ever had. I'm not saying that so that
she got shot like 9 times and then literally handed him a second magazine so that he could reload and shoot again. Okay, until finally she was like, I'm done.
2021 was a dark year. Started out married, end of the year divorce, end of the year with COVID and divorce, and that period of time, that August, September time, I felt like I was just walking around like a numb woman. I didn't know if I was coming or going. I didn't know what to do because I felt like I had just been through hell. And it was a period of time where I had to sit down and I had to really, really deal with some stuff that I just simply was not ready to deal with. Things that I had to come to grips with that I really wasn't ready to come to grips with. So fast forward all this time, get to December of 2021. Yes, this is where the story does end. Get to December of 2021. I am out sick with COVID. I'm not at work. I get a phone call from my coworker telling me that Legion has called our job looking for me and was trying to get information on how to reach me. Yes, I had already changed my number. Again, I had already moved, but he knew where I worked. So apparently he had called trying to find me, and the person that answered the phone was like, we're not going to give you that information. So he said, well, can you ask her to give me a call? I'm just trying to get a hold of her so I can get my stuff. The stuff he's talking about are those tote bags from July. So he was calling.
That's crazy.
It was a problem. He was trying to reach out to me on Facebook. He was trying to reach out.
Chatter about to chime in and be like, listen, you don't understand. Like, he deserves to do that. Okay. They made a contract. Doesn't matter if it was doesn't matter if he lied to her the entire time. He is legally allowed to stalk his ex-wife. That's how it works. Okay.
Reach out to family members on Facebook trying to get me to call him so that he could make arrangements to come get his stuff. The devil is a lie. So my friend Tracy, who came to my rescue again.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think he gives a fuck about the stuff. I think he just wants to like establish contact with her again and like try to, because like in his mind, I assume he like thinks he can patch it up, like he can manipulate her again. He's wrong, but he's still trying to think that way. Like, I'm sure that this seems like he has nothing, so he's like desperately trying to reach like get whatever he has back, so he can sell it and make some money to survive. That's what like you immediately want to think, but it's definitely him just thinking that he can like snag her back.
My friend Tracy was like, okay, here's what you're going to do. She said, you're going to send him a message and you are going to say these exact words. I sent him a text message. She said, and she told me, you're going to send a text message because it's going to be timestamped. And basically the text message says, I do not have your stuff. I did not have your stuff. I have nothing that belongs to you. If you continue to, you are disrupting.
How come he didn't do that to the ex-wives? He got worse. That's what his family said, at least, which is also kind of normal. We don't know all the details of what he did to his ex-wives, but I think that we don't know what the details are. But even if we were to assume that like it didn't get this bad, right? I think one thing that the family mentioned was that he kept like getting worse and worse through each altercation.
The work of my job by calling and asking for me. We have no contact with each other. I will send you a copy of the divorce decree that shows whatever is in your possession you own and whatever is in my possession I own. If you contact me directly or indirectly ever again, I will get a restraining order on you. Now, for those of you who are watching this in 2024,
it's kind of crazy because like, yo, you should have done that like months ago. What's going on? Why is she always doing this? I don't get it. I don't understand. Why has she not done this already? Like, this is not victim. I'm not trying to victim blame, but like, I don't understand why she didn't do this at all. I just legitimately don't get it.
And you're probably like, wow, she's dramatic. Please understand that what I just said, I meant.
No, we don't think you're dramatic. We think you should be a little bit more dramatic. If you think that that's drama, be more dramatic, please.
That if you ever try to contact me directly or indirectly, I will get a restraining order. I have it in writing. I've always had it in writing. And if I need to rewrite it again in 2024, I will, because the boundaries still stand. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the last time I had any contact whatsoever with my pathologically lying ex-husband. Part 50. Who did I marry? So.
Oh, this is it. This is the final part. That's crazy.
There's some realizations I had to come to after the divorce and everything that passed. One, Legion never loved me. He never loved me. He doesn't love himself, so I know he didn't love me. Number two, he didn't even like me. He watched me get excited about things that he knew I was not going to get. And not even just the possession stuff. Like, of course, we know I was excited to be the woman whose husband is like, I'm taking my wife to London. I was excited to be the woman whose husband was like, yeah, I bought my wife a brand new BMW X5. You have to understand is all the jokes that we make about the BMW. It was the time and effort that he spent in taking me to dealerships and being sure to put me in the car and test drive the car and, you know, oh, I can see you in this. I like this for you. It seems safe. It was the effort to really make me believe that he was going to get this just for him to fuck with me. The effort in taking me to all these homes, to see my face light up as a woman who grew up on welfare, to be able to walk into these 4 and 5 bedroom homes, knowing that he didn't have any money to buy it. Imagine if he had just been honest and said, hey, I like in my free time to go to open houses and just see how the other people live. Imagine if he had just said that versus wasting not only my time, but the wasting the time of the realtors who did nothing wrong. There's a level of cruelty to my ex-husband that I had never experienced before. And God knows, I pray I never.
I mean, this is like a once in a lifetime type shit. For like, most people are never going to encounter another person that does this, right? Let's be real. That's not happening. Hassan, so you feel bad for her right now? No, of course. No, I'm saying that like, that's why I get like why she kind of didn't lean into the red flags so hard in the beginning, because like no one is that cruel in such an unusual way. People will be like, oh, I had similar relationships and whatnot, but like, sure, there are manipulative, emotionally abusive partners and whatnot, but like this dude had the workings of like a serial con man and maxed out on his like con stuff simply for the mental manipulation aspect. Like, it's mind-boggling. You would not expect someone to be that cruel for like such a petty purpose. I'm willing to bet that if there was like money, if there was a money angle here, I'm willing to bet if he wasn't paying the groceries, if he wasn't paying the rent, that like she would probably smell something off faster. She probably would have been like, oh, this motherfucker is a bum. I think like a lot of this stuff doesn't make sense. Plus, on top of that, he's just like, you know, I'm paying for everything. You say he isn't evil or ill, he just lied. No, dude, come on. That's like, I think a lot of people think that, first of all, lying is already a bad thing to do to a significant other. But what you're talking about is, first of all, he cheated on her numerous times. And it's so crazy that like, that isn't even the worst thing he did. You understand? That's crazy. It's crazy that he was like serially cheating on her. And that's not even in the top 10 lists of most nutty things he did to her. Bro, he took her to a cemetery and was like, these are my grandparents. And it was like no grandparents were there. It was someone else's grandparents with the same last name. And for no reason, too. That's the other part. For no reason. He was just playing abuse for the sake of abuse. He was like, I love this shit, dog. I'm invested in it. You got no respect for a genius world builder? I don't. Because you want to know why I don't have respect for a genius world builder? Because he could have used that for something sick. Okay? He could have used that for something cool. He could have robbed a bank or some shit. Okay? But he didn't do that. He didn't do shit. He world builded. He world built specifically for this one person. Like, it's just so weird and evil.
Never experience it again. That's the word that comes to mind when I think of him. He is cruel. And it wasn't just me. He did it to the ex-wife.
Yeah, he could have like embezzled a trust fund, baby. Still would have been up, but like it would have made more sense.
I trust the people who were in my life before him. If we were friends or if we were in a relationship or whatever, and I knew you before him, I trust you explicitly. But if you're somebody I just met, I don't trust you. I don't. There's no point in me getting on here and saying and making it seem like, oh, I'm so strong, I'm so brave. I struggle big time. Because on one hand, I want to like someone. On the other hand, I'm immediately thinking, what if it's a repeat? And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I can't go through that again. I can't. Every single thing in our relationship was a lie. It took me a while to realize every single day, this man lied to me. Every single day, he lied to me. Every conversation he had was a lie. I will never know how much he lied to me. I'll never know. I've made my peace with it. I will never know how deep it really, truly goes. I only know what I...
It's especially funny because I love con men, right? Whether it be Donald Trump, George Santos, or just like any kind of con man. I love con men. I love con men stories. And that's part of the reason why this is such a compelling story is because he is a con man. But it's just like, but like this is, you know, literally the most insane version of that. Someone in the chat said, oh, isn't this kind of like that guy who lied about being a Saudi prince? No, because that guy at least was like stealing money. He would like stay in hotels, live a lavish life, present himself a certain way, and then like get amenities out of it. This motherfucker didn't do that. The only amenities he got was like the manipulation, like the fun you got out of like mentally manipulating a lower middle class woman who works for the Georgia State Police. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't do shit. She's like, it's the worst kind of person to victimize. Like, she's done nothing wrong. Just a normal lady who's like looking for love. It blows my mind. It's the inverse. Yeah, it's reverse Saltburn, dude, with no murder at the end either. Like, at least at the end of the Saltburn sequence, like, he gets the house and shit. Like, he takes over the entire family estate. This guy got nothing. He can't even get his fucking TV back.
I experienced, and I only know what God allowed me to see. But I'm willing to bet that there's a lot I still don't know. When people say, oh, you dodged a bullet, like you just, and I've read a lot of the comments on this, and people have sent me a lot of the comments. And so I need to make one thing very clear.
She did not dodge a bullet.
I'm fully aware I dodged a bullet. I am so grateful to my God.
She tanked the bullet. I think that's the more proper term here. She tanked it. She survived, but she definitely didn't dodge the bullet.
I'm sorry if that offends some of you, but it's the truth. I'm grateful that we didn't buy a house and that I'm not financially tied to him in any way, shape, or form. But I am also grateful for the fact that there are things about my ex-husband that I discovered in terms of how he is when it comes to other women. And I'm grateful that God has kept me and protected me. That's all I'm gonna say. So when I started out making this series and I made the decision to tell my story, my motive was I just want to help one person. If there is a woman out there who's like, God, I want to be married and I met this guy and something don't seem right, but maybe it's not that bad. My advice is, honey, just go ahead and do your research, because I can honestly tell you, being single sucks, okay? In my opinion, sometimes it sucks, but being married to the wrong person is a type of hell no one should have to go through. You should not have to be married to someone that does not like you. You should not have to be married to someone that doesn't even love you. And I know what that is like. I know what it's like to be told, hey, babe, I love you. And yet
The moral of the story is if someone tells you that they played arena football, Google the salary and you will very quickly find out. I thought ladies were good at this. Like, no disrespect, but like I thought you know, for self-preservation and like genuine defensive purposes, because you don't know who you're, you know, putting your life on the line with, technically, you know what I mean? I thought that a good background, a little bit of brief background check is in order every single time, for sure. And also, never trust men who are 6'4". Okay, just don't do it. And I say this as a 6'4" ass man. Okay, I'm 6'4" and I wear platform Doc Martens and I appear 6'6" sometimes. You know how messed up that is? I'm a bad guy. Who the does that? That's crazy. Date short kings. That's the moral of the story. Look, I'm always there for my short kings. Okay, I'll be there no matter what.
I swear I think that man sat back in the recliner with his WWE Championship Roman Reigns belt and laughed his ass off at me every day. Like, damn, she really believed it. Ha 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 ha. I do. I really do think that.
Shitting on our arena football kings out here getting CTE just to go band for band with McDonald's managers. Excuse me. No, they're not going band for band with McDonald's managers because the McDonald's manager is outbanding them immediately. Okay. They are not. No, they're going band for band with like McDonald's, like maybe assistant managers. Okay. McDonald's managers are destroying the arena football kings out here. Okay. What? I bet your tall ass can't take a swift kick to the back of your hamstring. Yo, that's not even funny. Today, Kaya has officially gotten too big because she was running around. We were playing and she hip checked me in the calf. And my calf still hurts. But to be fair, it's 100 pounds. You know what I mean? She's 100 pounds and she's landed into my calf and it f***ed me up. My calf still hurts. Those neck tattoos. Because I got canceled, I wanted to change my identity. Okay? I'm no longer Hank. I'm emo. Damn, bro, you lost to a pet animal. I'm willing to bet Kaya could f*** up most chatters. Kaya is almost the same weight as like most of my chatters. So the notion that like this is my pet animal and tiny or whatever is so funny. Women have been getting a lot of PR hits lately, to be honest. They need to up their game.
My radar was broken because I am an intelligent woman and I know that I know better. And I still sometimes ask myself, how the fuck did you let this happen? How did you let this be your story? All because at the time, I wanted it to be my turn. And I hoped it was my turn. And when people say, well, what do you mean by that? I just meant, we all see it, whether it's social media or real life, we all see where the woman she done been through some stuff and she finally met someone who appreciates, loves, and respects her. And it is a beautiful thing. I had hoped that when I met him, it was my turn for that. And instead of being obedient, I wanted to be right and I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And the cost of that decision was heavy. The toll of reliving this whole scenario was heavy. It was. I'm almost surprised.
I mean, I'm glad that because she is a phenomenal storyteller and because she is also on top of that, like she was at least like taking audiobook or audio journals throughout this process so she could like retell the experience perfectly, that she actually did get a story out of this. And ultimately, like, obviously it doesn't make up for the emotional trauma. I do think that this is like an HBO series. You know what I mean? Like this is an HBO series in the making, like a mini series. And I hope that she does get something out of it. I think beyond like the TikTok revenue. Someone said that like even with the creator funds, like meager funds that you get out of that, because TikTok funds are fucking ridiculous. You get nothing, you get pennies on the dollar. Given that all of the 50-part series got like 6 million views each on TikTok, she still made like 84 a grand from it or something around those lines. So I don't think she had a monetization button when she made it. Well, I think like after this, I think like she'll be able to get like a book deal or something out of it. You know what I mean? And I do also, she got demonetized. She made almost no money. I hope, because TikTok has a capacity to elevate stories like this and like really blow them up. Bro, Forbes wrote an article about it. Like actual legacy publishers wrote about this. Think about that. That means that someone is going to want to try and sell this. That's usually how it works. It takes like a solid reporter put together like a New Yorker article or whatever, you know, like a 10-pager, and then boom, that reporter will be able to try and like leverage this and talk to her as well and get her to sell the story somewhere. I can see this going in either direction. It's like it's got miniseries written all over it. You know what I mean? No, I don't think it's Lifetime original. You guys are wrong. Bro, there's a time.com article. Come on, dog. A woman's 50-part TikTok series about her marriage is the internet's latest obsession. That's from 4 days ago. And it's not the first time a viral story got like a deal in a movie. I know who wrote this, by the way. Now let's look at Legion's side of the story. In the interest of doing a journalism, we got to hear from Legion's side too. Which, by the way...
Because this one right here, oh, this gonna make you laugh.
Rumor.
Let me just start out by saying, okay, this is not what I thought he was going to be looking like, okay? The way she presented the story, I thought like he looked more like a smooth operator. You know what I mean?
Risa Tisa, ex-wife, who straight line to y'all.
Look at the amount of re-uploads on TikTok. This shit went crazy.
It's sad because it's completely false. And we went to marriage counseling, didn't work, and we broke up. But my message to her is please stop lying to these people, and you can tell them the real reason I left you, you cheated. I caught you in the house with Bradley, and we went to marriage counseling, didn't work, and we broke up. More to the point, I haven't decided who I'm going to talk to exactly or go on whose page or whatever. But I'm going to go ahead and let y'all know that she lied about everything. Follow her, don't follow her. That's up to you. All that stuff she said, it's complete lies.
I know what you're thinking. No, you are the complete liar. I went ahead and went through his TikTok account, pulled up some of his videos because y'all, he is a relationship coach. Oh, yes, you heard me. A relationship coach.
Oh! Yo, are you for real right now? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh, what? No. Are you, oh my God, be for real, dude. Oh my Lord, holy moly. Oh, Jesus Christ. He's a Sigma male. Yeah, he's got the keffiyeh on too. He's pro-Palestine. That part we're just going to avoid, okay? We're going to avoid harder than the fucking top of the hour ad break on that one. This is, oh my God, this is too many reveals. Too many big reveals happening at once. That's crazy. That's crazy. I mean, does it work? Does this relationship advice work? Kind of, if you want to be like, I mean, short-term gains, you know? Short-term gains, massively consequential down the line. I don't know, dude. Legion looking pretty rich in this picture. I mean, you can see the Invicta right there, if that's Legion.
Relationship guy, what's going on? Relationships are hard work, but you got to put the time in and the effort. Sometimes people make the mistake by not putting the time or the effort in to their relationship, but they just want it to work and it all flows smoothly. Doesn't work.
Bro, oh my God, bro. I swear to God, people are going to be like, well, he's giving good advice. This is like going to him for relationship advice. It's like going to Andrew Tate for like fitness advice. Okay. This is the ex-wife, by the way. She also popped off on TikTok. I mean, this makes sense. Like the fact that the fact that he's like giving relationship advice does kind of make sense. Like a lot of red pill Andys are, you know, just as up.
Like that. Relationships are work. You got to put the work in. Don't expect to reap the benefit if you're not going to put the time in. The message from your guy, the relationship guy.
Women will literally always take advantage of you if you're the type of guy that lets them. You see, if you always just let it slide when a girl does something to you that you're not actually okay with, well, like, that's how it happens. You just got taken advantage of. She cancels plans at the last minute. You don't say anything. She shows up late to the date. You don't say anything. She's on her phone on the date. You don't do anything. Even though it doesn't seem like a big deal, you just set the tone that going forward in this relationship, you can kind of do whatever you want, and I'm not really going to say anything or do anything about it. I'm that type of guy. You need to learn how to calmly but directly communicate when things are not okay with you, and then you'll...
Yeah, even if they're all lies, you have to always calmly and directly communicate. Like, even if, like, for example, let's say you calmly and directly communicated that you have a sister or you have a grandmother. Calmly and directly tell your partner that she died due to COVID. Then calmly and directly drive her to the cemetery after finding a gravestone with the same last name, and calmly and directly point to the gravestone and say, "This is where my grandparents are. This is the way to do it." Calm and direct.
Never be taken advantage of ever again.
Some people say closure ain't something they need, but it actually is something you need. You have to have it. And some of y'all breaking up for the wrong reason. So really think about that before you just start, you know, throwing everything.
Risa don't want nothing to do with you. She doesn't need her closure. Leave her alone. Stop harassing her. That's my forever wife. We locked in. I will fight like a real man for the one I love. Oh my God.
Out the window because
Finding that special person is hard in this world today. So think about that before you just start running your mouth.
Friend of mine got some great news. He moving up, all the way up.
Okay, he does have some charisma. I know chatters are gonna be like, oh, you, whatever. No, I can see it. I can see he's like he has to have a little bit of a smooth operator in him. Like even the way that he's like invested in his own lies. Look beyond the immediate aesthetics. Okay, look beyond the immediate aesthetics of like how he presents himself. Forget like everything that you know about him. He does have a little bit of a con man riz.
Maybe you should just leave it alone. Everything ain't your business all the time about everybody. Every detail of their personal life when you first meet is not your business. It takes time and years to get to know somebody that way sometimes. Please allow the process to be the process and don't try to just dive in, because what you can do is end up putting your foot in your mouth and looking real.
Wait, what? They're asking a question about your knee, man. What's happening? What is he responding? He's responding to a question about the knee, and he's just like
stupid at the end of the day for saying something, making a comment about something you don't even know.
For this next video, he originally had a picture of a clothed baby while he was saying this, and it just was too nasty to me. So if the words don't match his on-screen, it's because the picture I was not about to put up. That just was some weird shit.
Would you guys consider jacking off to be a sport? I don't know about you, mother, but I consider that shit to be a sport, okay? If people can sit back and label goddamn golf, which is the boringest sport in the world, think about it. What the athletically are you really doing?
Nigga is nasty, right? Nasty. And after that, the people was getting on his ass in the comments. So he gonna say, there are too many comments. It's too much. If you guys keep commenting mean things on my posts, I'm going to stop posting. Then your little lies have no place to take it out on. Your choice. My next video won't be usual. I need to tell my truth, but the truth has been spun around too much. With evidence, the sheep are blind. This is what God predicted in Revelations. I believe I am the coming forth of what is coming next in this world. I can save you all. I will speak through pictures in a code.
that was EDP. Oh, that the person talking wasn't him. That was EDP. Hasan, you should do a whole stream where you don't say one word so you're never clipped out of context. I mean, the irony is that my haters also say that that's what I do anyway. They say that I just sit there and I let the videos play. So like, in a way, I've been canceled for that as well. I've already been canceled for that, where they'll just be like, oh, look at this asshole. He doesn't do anything. He just doesn't say anything. He just plays a video. Yeah, I don't even sit there. My chair does.
Only true believers can understand. This is the forthcoming. Keep your eyes open. Nigga, if you can't spell big words and you don't know how to really articulate yourself on video and it's fucking with you that the people is talking shit on you, just say that. Because speaking through pictures, that's code for I can't read and I can't spell big words and I'm not good at talking on camera. That's what that's code for. He ain't stopped there though. He also posted the letter. Yep. Subject: approval notification for your home loan application. Dear, Mr. McCoy, we are delighted to inform you that your recent application for a home loan with Chase Bank has been approved. Congratulations on taking this significant step towards home ownership. After careful review of your application and financial details,
That's so sick that he was like, here's the scam letter I showed my ex-wife. Hasan, you should do a whole stream where you don't say question is, when are you going on? I'm not going on. I don't have the body fat percentage to take my shirt off and sit in front of a fucking camera in front of thousands like that.
we are pleased to offer you a loan amount of $700,000
Not for a while.
for the purchase of your home. We understand that finding the right property is an important decision, and we are committed to assisting you throughout this process. Your approval is a testament to your sound financial standing and creditworthiness, and we are confident that you will manage your financial responsibility. As you prepare to embark on this exciting journey, please feel free to reach out to our dedicated team of mortgage specialist representatives for any questions or if you need further assistance. We look forward to helping you secure your dream home and being a trusted partner in your home ownership journey. Best regards, Reggie Daniels, Loan Officer, Chase Bank. He also posted,
why would anyone, oh my God, this is his Grand Cayman Islands secret account.
his bank account, the Caymans, the over the seas. Now, I don't
Okay, if this was real, that would be really funny for him to just like self-dox his like secret offshore account. That's how you know this shit is not real at all, okay?
know about you, but doesn't this look like a screenshot from like a 1998 Windows computer? Like this looks like you did go on Google. You thought to yourself, I'm gonna go on the last page of Google because this bitch ain't never gonna know if I go on the last page. And you thought you was gonna sell it.
I assume this is a oh my God, 1 2 3 3 4 5 2 9 3 9. It says the balance is what? Minus $72. He has a mortgage payment on here of $710, which put him in the fucking red. And his offshore account, which apparently he's making offshore account, which is making like payments off of, he's getting hit with a fucking overdraft fee of $5. I don't even know how you can do like direct payments off of your offshore account. Bro, is a list of requirements for women. Oh my God. Requirements in a female. Not lazy, good cook, cares for the man, is a woman of her word, knows her place as a woman in God's kingdom, big booty. Why'd you got to put that so close to one another? You know what I mean? He's like, must be godly, must be firm believer in God, thick ass, not a liar, breath don't stink in the morning, don't need to buy Tums for her heartburn. Wait, what? Healthy cholesterol, won't kill my baby, won't eat junk food with my baby in the womb. Oh, this is a shot at his ex. I think he's saying like she ate junk food and that's why she had the miscarriage. Yeah, this is literally, even the heartburn and shit, I assume, is too specific. What a crazy person. Must be firm in religion and ass cheeks. I mean, he knows what he likes, fellas. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least he knows what he knows. He knows what he likes.
But it's still not working. It's just still not working out for you. And again, I'm on his TikTok page when I come across this too.
I need somebody to help me not have a big heart because my heart is so big. People betray me and I keep forgiving.
There ain't no fucking way he went with R. Kelly. That's crazy. Bro, dude is not helping himself at all, okay? Like, there are enough misogynists out there that would love to probably get on board with his side of the story just to be a fucking brave, valiant warrior in the gender wars, okay? Like, there were people who were like, they were defending Tory Lanez, you know what I mean? It's crazy to me that he's like posting R. Kelly thinking that this is going to vindicate him. That's crazy.
What's up, everybody? Out here this morning, you're on my thug fizzle, I guess you want to say. Again, it's your guy, it's the relationship guy. I just want to drop a quick one to you real quick this morning. Ladies, if you on your period, that's okay. If you're emotional through your period, that's okay. But the last thing you should do is make your man feel it. A lot of women make the mistake and they don't understand when they have a bad.
Oh, he's giving advice to ladies too. That's pretty sick. He photoshopped this. Wait, what? Is this from Wikipedia? Oh my God. Oh my God. This is a Wikipedia photo. It's not the same day. His was 2020. Yeah, but all the descriptions are the same, chat. Descriptions are the same. Peaches reveal. What the fuck? What did Peaches give you? Lifelong companionship. That's okay. I'm losing it. Yeah, link names is Wikipedia org bank statement. The amounts are the same. Every part of this is wild. This guy is wow. I don't know what to say. He's out of control,
Attitude.
man.
If you have a bad attitude, stay peaceful, stay quiet, stay humble. You can drive a man crazy with a bad attitude because you're on your period and you're just not feeling 100%.
Who's Peaches? Peaches is the sex worker that he was sexting and having sex with, who has, like, I would say pretty fair prices. $40 for a hand job, $60 for a blow job over the condom. Like, Peaches is a safe sex queen. You know what I mean? Like, she didn't do anything wrong. You know what? I have no. Oh, sorry, $80 without the condom, $60 with the condom. Yeah. Pretty good prices, honestly. I didn't know it was like that.
But your period does not give you an excuse to act like a butthole. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. And again, it's your boy, the relationship guy, dropping these tips to you, man. Y'all enjoy.
So then he goes on to make up these fake ass text messages, which we all know is not real. To sum them all up, it's Reese Tisa inboxing him talking about,
It's so funny. Dude, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned is the OG line. Hell hath no fury like a fucking dude who knows Photoshop, though. He is like he's a Photoshop god, dude. He's constantly fucking doing this. It's pretty crazy. He's constantly fucking Photoshopping shit.
sorry I did this. I didn't mean to lie. Boy, we know you the king of making some screenshots up.
I'm sorry I spent my money on HIV treatments. I have to now, too, because you messed with Bradley and got me sick. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything I've done to you, Jerome. I'm a man of God, so I forgive you. Can we fool around again? You don't got me sick and then keeping it with Peaches. You got these people attacking me on the
We
net.
know you
I'm
the
sorry.
king, and we
It's
do not
all
see
my
no
fault.
reason as to why Tisa Risa would say any of this shit. Did y'all see that she has like a sponsorship? Well, something like a sponsorship with the Hilton. She's about to go to Europe. She's about to go visit Paris. She's about to do everything she thought this punk ass nigga was gonna do for her. And you think that she in your inbox? You think we gonna believe this, Romy Rome? You think we gonna believe this? Hell no. I also got the ex-wife saying, what old girl said is not a lie. This dude really is a fucking pathological liar.
Address the elephant in the room, because it's been brought to my attention that my ex-husband is out here in these streets disturbing individuals as he always has, and I have been brought into this. Let me first say, this chapter of my life is closed. I have moved on. It's been more than 10 years. I'm over it. I'm done. I'm good, okay? But after I say this, let's just leave it alone. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I'm not going to address it anymore because I have nothing to do with this. This is my past life. The book is closed, okay? So Legion, as y'all call him, is a despicable, nasty, and vile individual. I fell for the trap over 10 years ago. Yes, he was charming, and I was broken mentally, okay? Understand, self-love was not here at all for me to actually love myself enough to understand that this is not love. He manipulated me. He loved bombed me. All of the, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that and everything else. Yes, all of these things were said to me. Guess what? None of it happened. He's manipulative, and he literally tried to ruin my life. He had family turn against me because he wanted to tell people lies about me and things of that nature. And unfortunately, he's very, very good at what he does. It took me many, many, many years to get past that.
I'm telling you.
I have healed. And with the situation being brought back to me, it's like cutting me back open with a dagger because I was already healed up. The Band-Aid had been left. I've gotten married. I'm happy. Been good, right? But this man is a pathological liar. He gave up all types of promises, but to the cars and houses just like Risa. But guess what? None of that ever came to pass, right? So I just need for people to know that this situation was traumatic as hell for me. And then I hear about, because I've not watched any of the videos, because for what? Like, it's not my business anymore. I feel bad for anybody that he comes into contact with, and I will tell any female that sees his picture, don't ever, just let it go. Because he needs some serious mental help, and he needs to be evaluated and be locked away. So that's what I will say.
This man is a problem.
And as far as like me not filing for divorce, I didn't file for divorce because I was afraid for my life. I didn't want to be served. I didn't want to. In order for me to file, I would have to tell him where exactly I was, and I didn't want him to know that. So no, I absolutely was not filing because I was afraid at the time. But guess what? It was ended before it even really started. But at the same token, I still was very, very, very not mentally, in love with myself. So that's one of the things that really got me. So I genuinely feel empathy for the women that have been down his path. When all this stuff was going on with him and I, there was no social media, TikTok or anything like that. But at the same token, I just wanted to heal through my processes. I didn't want to sit there and have to tell the whole world my business because I'm a very private person and I don't do drama. I will also say this. I did not hit Legion at all. I did not hit this man. He went to jail because he was impersonating a police officer, telling people that he was a detective of the police department in Atlanta, Georgia. And that is why he went to jail. Also for stalking one of the guards that were over where we lived at. That is why he went to jail. So he didn't go to jail because of we never went to court about me putting my hands on him. My son did, yes, interact with him. And my son, yes, he did put his hands on him because he threatened me for the last time. And enough was enough. As you go through life, you can either sit down and continue to take it, or you can get up and triumph and do what you need to do so that you can make your life better. And at that point, enough was enough for me. I was done. I was no longer going to be the victim because I'm not a victim. I'm not a doormat. You can't step on me. You can't do whatever you want to do to me and me take it. So I left.
This is the first wife, yeah.
Will also say, I need people to understand this is my life we're talking about, right? So this situation is triggering. But it's triggering me because it needs to be said. But it's one of those things where I was okay with not saying it. I was good. After this conversation, after I'm done saying my piece, if anybody wants to actually, know how I healed from all of this, you're more than welcome to go, click into my link on my Ms. Missouri page on Facebook. And you're more than welcome to listen to my show tonight, because my Health, My Mind, and Body radio show is literally about healing. And my show tonight is about elevating your mental.
Oh my
And
gosh,
I've been
she
elevating
also
my
has.
mental for years. And I'm so
You got 50 gifted subs and don't acknowledge it. Another 50 big ones from 34 MKD 50.
fucking proud of myself. You know why? Because I've done a lot of work to
Ethical
get
reacts.
past
We gotta
all
let
that
her run.
shit that was
Ethical
going
reacts.
on in my past. So all that, Risa Tisa, I pray, honey, that you get the healing that you need, sweetie, because guess what? It took me time, and I pray that you get the healing that you need.
Does everyone in America have a podcast? Yes.
And anybody else, Vivian or anybody else, I pray that you guys get the healing that you need. Because this situation is not easy. But I hope that you guys really get the healing that you need. So that way, you guys can move forward in your life, because it's possible to have a love of your life after all of this trauma. It is very possible. So with that being said, you guys, I really hope that, this will be on my end anyways. You guys can continue talking about it if you like, but I'm done, because I'm not a victim. I got out and I moved on. I am not attached to this man. Don't want to be attached to this man. He's out of my life, been out of my life all of these years, and don't want to have anything to do with him. So all go on to my T.
If y'all calling him Legion, that's what y'all calling him. But
this is son.
We was calling that nigga Rome. Rome is my mother's ex-husband. Now, they've been separated for a while now. Gotta be over damn near 10 years. Gotta be shit since like 2015, 16, damn near that time, something like that. But he, just like everything that lady was telling y'all. And I haven't listened to all of her story, but from what I have listened to, she's 100% telling the truth. And I'm telling you, she's telling the truth. My mother's name is Latoya, and she is the wife that was before the wife that the lady talked to and had the conversation with.
All right, anyway, we saw okay, enough. So there's a Legion extended universe, but I'm not all that interested in the entire one. But this dude is like, I mean, he's out of control. He's done all the craziest shit. He's done it all.